Appreciate it.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Pixels Politics. I'm your host, Dougie, with my co host, Bray, and today we've got a very interesting episode. Some high profile technological breakthroughs. We have a lot of technology breakthroughs, and then some social commentary on sex work. And we're going to rant about Israel a little bit because we can't do that with, with Bray being in every episode. He has to rant about Israelis once.
Something. No, at this point, Doug, I think I just give up. It's like like Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to bring
She's
a thing
tried.
to the. She tried to bring a bill to the House of Representatives about, you know, not sucking Israel's dick again for the 500th time. And they voted against her and like five other representatives, 422 to 6.
Yeah.
Let that sink in for a second. 422 to 6.
Yeah. And then you want to know what happened shortly after?
Yeah.
Mike,
What?
the
Just
House
to say it.
Speaker, Mike Johnson, came out and said that the West Bank, which most people, if you don't know, Gaza and West
Gaza.
Bank belong to Palestine. West Bank is on the opposite side. Mike
Yeah.
Johnson, Speaker of the House, came out and said that the West Bank belongs to Israel. It should be run by Israel. They should take it. They should take it. Um, and listen, I know at the start a bunch of people were like, free Palestine. The Jews are committing genocide. The numbers now are really bad. So we have that right. With the bill was introduced, immediately shot down. Mike Johnson comes out, says what he says. Shortly after that, Benjamin Netanyahu announced plans to pretty much fully take over Gaza. So Gaza, whatever little control they had over that thing before, there's no hope. That will be a part of Israel probably by the end of next year, if not sooner. It gets kind of worse. So
Mm.
when we first talked about Israel on the podcast, I'm talking, first season. I don't even think, Bray, you were here, to be honest. I think it was just me and Ryan.
Mm.
The very first
Yeah.
episode we started was talking about how Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel were in the middle of a civil war because of him. He was pretty much becoming a tyrant and a dictator, and he was
Yeah.
firing the justices, the Supreme Court justices they have there, because they assumed that he was corrupt, which he probably is, and he was trying to take too much power, and he basically, you know, he had them fired, and he was consolidating rights. I mean, the things that they called Trump, basically Benjamin Yahoo was really doing all that stuff. Like, really, he was really bad. He was so bad that the country was on the verge of a civil war. I don't even know what it's called. The country, the state, was on the verge
Yeah.
of a civil war. There were people protesting. I mean, it was crazy. And then October 7th happened, and we've come to today. So they've calmed down enough that they were going to start prosecuting him again for corruption. And all of a sudden he got sick. He said, I can't go to the trial." Shortly after that, the lead
Yeah.
prosecutor was fired, and yeah, it whatever the future looks with him in power, I assume he's going to be in power for a while. He's basically a Putin. He's basically a Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
He's basically a fucking Macron, who is also taking power of France and is maintaining office well past his time. That's Netanyahu. Netanyahu probably leans a lot more towards, the Xi Jinping type. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that the fact that they were literally on the verge of a civil war, goes beyond a lot of people's heads. They don't know that, but that country, that state,
Yeah.
was literally on the verge of civil war protests, and bad shit was going on before they got into an actual war. They they tried to kick him out, and he's pretty much has a death grip on that country. So
Eh.
it's
I mean, at this point, Doug, I think it's okay to FF at this point. It's okay to FF.
I agree with you.
Like yeah, you know how the libtards exist?
Yeah.
You know how every time like the libtards are like justice, we want justice,
Hmm.
and then the people in power kind of just you know take a shit on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. and and it's happened every time for as for the past, I'd say, over a decade now, like 15 years. The social justice war. I'll go even further. I'll say like 17 years. The social justice wars have been getting stepped on every time. There's a new justice thing. Anti-racism. Like, yeah, yeah, totally. We're against racism. We're gonna send all this money to these NGOs. Yeah, yay, no racism. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, yeah, that's okay, I guess. No sexism, and then it's like, yeah, more money to the NGOs, woohoo! And then they're like, yeah, and then they're like, well, no more Israel, and there's just like a dead looming silence, and the government officials, their face just turns black, their eyes turn like a shade of white, similar to that of a skeleton, and they just stare down at them, and you're kind of just sitting there, like sitting next to him, just kind of sweating a little bit, just like looking over, like, oh, so this is the thing we're not allowed to question. This is the elephant in the room that the libtards are currently getting crushed for in protests across the country. So it's on one hand, I do love seeing the libtards lose, but they've been losing pretty much every time for the past 17 years. They've never won. They've never won. They're like 0 to 100 at this point. But this is
I
the one time where I'm like, I
I
actually agree with the libtards, and I'm like,
I
maybe
know.
I just shouldn't because I know it's a losing fight. You know?
I don't know. The biggest problem I have with libtards in general is that they always play their hand. They always play their ace at the wrong moments, right? And by that I
Yeah,
mean DEI initially started as something really good, where it just meant that if you were a manager, when you were looking at two resumes, all you had to do was hire the person that was best. You couldn't do it based on race. That's what DEI originally was. They
yeah,
turned it into something insanely different where you got tax write-offs on the more minorities you hired. It just turned into that. Um,
yeah,
you have immigrants where most people were like, yeah, illegal immigrants, where they were like, yeah, this is fine. We get it. They come from a place that's struggling. Most of them actually do work hard, and then they just let the floodgates open. And 10 million in 4 years is a crazy amount, and they just abuse that. You have the
yeah.
actual social justice matters that mattered, right? Like gay people couldn't get married until like what within the last like 20 years, even less.
All right, Doug. I have something. I'm gonna stop you there, Doug.
Yeah, go ahead.
When was the last time you went to a gay marriage?
Okay, fair enough, but it still exists. I assume. I know. Okay, I know of two gay people who got married. I don't like the guy, but I know him. I know. I know him.
You know, one person.
Who's had a gay marriage? Yes, just one,
You know, one person.
and I don't really like
How
him.
many people? How many people do you know that are straight, that are in your family or friends that are got straight marriages?
Two, two. Not a lot of people get
Your
married these
parents
days.
got married.
Yeah, I counted them as one.
Your uncles got
Oh,
married.
oh, well.
Your ads got
Oh, you
married.
mean total?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. I know maybe three or four gay, but in terms of straight,
We
I don't know like fucking 10, 20, 30.
we gave a right to a minority that didn't even really care about it to begin with.
But they still got it right. Like in general, they needed it. I mean, they should still have rights to access. My point is, they do tend to win, and I'm going to extend it into the Me Too movement and even BLM. And
Yeah.
the money obviously doesn't always go to the best place. However, these things always start off nice, and probably most people, while they may not agree, they're just like, okay, I get the idea. It's a nice idea. No, gay marriage should be
Yeah.
right. Don't let me conflate that with some of the other things. Um, However, they just tend to take it too far. And with Palestine, Israel, it's like at that point that they were ranting. Let's say they were dead quiet for most of the time, and they only got to Israel Palestine. Maybe it would carry more weight. But by the time that people were protesting, Israel Palestine, it was like you guys are on your fourth different protest that year. Nobody takes you seriously at all. And ironically,
Yeah.
the only actual protesters that may or may not have made a difference was the January Sixers. So it's like I don't really know at the point that people were protesting Israel Palestine. while it was still getting
Yeah.
stopped, it really wasn't doing anything compared to the BLM or even the anti-ICE protests, right? Like those have probably had more motion than Israel Palestine. And again, part of that is because the people that are in charge. But the juice that should have went into that, I mean, it should have been the max thing, the most important thing. And I mean, right now there's the number of children starving there. I think it's like something 1,000 a week or some shit. Like they're just all starving to death, and it's dead silent. All my liberal friends don't care about Palestine anymore. They've moved on to something else, and that is kind of my point. Is that every single month it is something new with them, and they just can't be fucked to actually try and make sure that anything gets done. They don't care. So if I'm a politician and I know these people are like ADHD rodents, then I would just wait it out, which I think is what most of them did. They just wait. The politicians just waited it out. They don't have to do anything more because
Yeah.
there's gonna be some other movement. But I think
I
if
mean,
yeah, go ahead. I've been ranting for a good time.
I mean, I think back in the day that worked because the internet wasn't as big of a thing. But now the internet was something that they wanted to control, and they used 9/11 to do it with the prison program and tracking everyone and monitoring their internet history and what they're doing and collecting all that data and everything. But I don't think they realize that they've created a behemoth, the government. They've created a behemoth that they can no longer control. The internet is now a double-edged sword, and the part of the sword that's on the side of the people has become a lot sharper than the side that's on the for the government.
Mhm.
Regardless of how much innovation or work they do behind the scenes, because the reality is that people can share information about 9/11. They can share information about the moon landings being fake, and they're no longer able to rest on the laurels of we've created the term conspiracy theory and we've discredited people who have made these claims, and we can rely upon that we can have faith in that no one will believe people that say the moon landing is fake. But now those tides are turning, and the people that have been trying to speak the truth for the past 50 years are finally getting some sort of recognition and some sort of honest consideration now that originally they didn't have before because the internet wasn't a thing, and they just didn't have access to that kind of medium. And now the medium has started catering to these people who have blown the whistle on these projects like the moon landing, like 9/11. People are starting to wake up, and they're trying to control that right now using the Online Safety Act.
Mhm.
They're trying to enforce it over in Britain right now, currently, where they're preventing you from seeing posts on X unless you provide your driver's license
Yeah.
or your ID. And the reason they're asking for your ID isn't so that they can protect children or that they can protect people in general. It's so that they can find out who you are and silence you if need be. That's the entire purpose behind it.
Yeah.
It's all around control and censorship, and they're trying to roll it out here in the United States, and it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna follow up on everything you said. The first thing I'd
Yeah,
say, minus moving away from the moon landing, just because I know that's not gonna hit with everybody. I will say the internet, because of what it is and the double-edged sword you were talking about, it is becoming quite the weapon for the generation after us. Where, and I
yeah,
hear this a lot, they're becoming very anti-Israel, just outright. They're just Hitler all of a sudden is becoming like the most well-known and almost liked figure in history because of
yeah,
the internet. Like you said, it's become a very sharp double-edged sword, and the more they double down on it, the more the next generation, the generation after, are becoming quite jaded. So while I
yeah,
don't think our generation, and I know the liberals aren't gonna fucking be able to push anything forward, I don't know, like maybe it is because they just lack the juice, or they just move on too fast. They don't actually care. I don't know what it is, but I do have a lot more faith in the two generations that come after us that seem a lot more focused on that one particular issue. And it is just the one thing we can, both sides kind of agree on.
Yeah.
You're right about the Safety Act. They kept saying it was for children. Yeah, they haven't done shit. They haven't announced protection for children, as in, we stopped this many children from getting online. We stopped this many people from talking to children and grooming them. That's not what they announced. You want what they announced? They announced a task force to go and hunt down anyone who said anything critical about the immigrants in the UK, and that was within the first week. Immediately after the internet, what was it, the safety bill? They immediately
The Online
started
Safety Act.
they started arresting grown adults for what they were saying online. Immediately. I mean, with it, they have no shame about it. They immediately put together a task force. It was clearly already planned. Immediately started arresting
Yeah.
people. I I'm a little 50-50 with you on whether or not this passes in the U.S. Part of me really wants to believe it won't, and I don't think it will. But the U.S. is so thirsty for this control that what I think might happen is they're just gonna say national security, boom, and slap it on the thing. But I'm hoping you're right. A large part of me is like, that's the right path. The cynic in me is like, they're just gonna do it anyway. So I'm
Well, the thing is,
really, yeah, go ahead.
it would have like it's gonna go to the Supreme Court more than likely,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be up to them more than likely. And I would say that the requirements for what they would want to implement in the Online Safety Act is
It's against free speech and
it's
freedom of
it's too many requirements. It's there's too many freedoms that you're taking away from people when they use the internet. And I feel like that would be a huge discussion point amongst the justices. And I don't think they would end up agreeing for that to be the case. Yeah, even if when the paper gets slapped on their table and it says it's for the sake of children, I don't think that's a good enough excuse. One, because it's the parents' job to monitor the children, not the government.
freedom.
And two, um, children are going to be on the internet one way or the other. They will find a way around it. That is not something that you are capable of controlling, even if you are a parent. As long as they have a smartphone in their hands, they are going to be able to access the internet, regardless of what parental lock you put on it. That's just how it is.
Again, I agree with you. I think you're correct. The cynic in me says that they've got some kind of twist here. They know a little something we don't. They're ready for this. But again, it's just the cynic. I am not a fan of that part.
And,
I genuinely think you're
but
correct in that what you're saying will happen.
another thing they were trying to do is get rid of like VPNs and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen either. There's always going to be VPNs available. In order to prevent people from accessing a VPN, you would have to. The only way you could do it is to outright ban all VPN IPs. But there's always new ones popping up. It's not really something you can control. And if they make the surface web so unusable to the point where you can't have ad blockers, you have to give your ID to view any web page at all, and your stuff is heavily tracked, the people are just going to switch to using the Tor browser and using the dark web instead of the surface web. That's ultimately what will happen. And then the dark web will become the surface web, and that's how it will work. Because when you use, the Tor browser, it puts you through an IP relay, which hides your IP and allows you to access stuff more anonymously. And you can still use ad blocker and things of that nature. But yeah, no, it's not. There is no future where that stuff just does not become the norm. Should that
History
stuff get
also
implemented?
proves you right, where the constant control mechanisms they put in place tends to push people to new places. And,
Yeah,
with media being as fucked as it is, people move to the internet. And it would make sense that control on the internet will push people, to the next dimension of it. It's
yeah,
very much realistic. And then you have new apps. There's a huge amount of focus on encryption and anonymity, data protection. That we're seeing a lot more apps kind of open up and provide this.
yeah,
And I agree with you that it's too hard. It's too hard for them to control Americans in general. It's too hard.
yeah,
It's in a way you can control most of them by pointing a laser and being like, look at this, and you'll see a lot of idiots kind of flock to it, but it's not capturing nearly as much people as they think it is. And
Yeah.
thankfully, the Constitution and our rights, it's just so unique. I think about the EU all the time. They don't have that shit. They don't have every country doesn't have freedom of speech. And they don't interpret it the same way. They don't interpret freedom of religion the same way. They see it much differently, or they've interpreted it much differently, or they just outright don't have those laws protecting them. And their
Yeah.
citizens kind of have no legal ground to stand on other than, okay, we're gonna throw a coup now, like we're gonna rebel. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the EU doesn't exist anymore. Like, there's no
Yeah.
European like, I don't really I honestly don't even really think we should be wasting time talking about the United Caliphate or the Italian Emirates or the fucking the French Republic, whatever you wanna talk like, I don't think we should waste time talking about these countries anymore just because the people that are watching us from there are probably not gonna be around for much longer anyway,
Oh
and
God.
not only that, yeah, they're like it's one of those things where the people that are watching us from there aren't going to be either they're not going to be living there anymore, or they're just going to end up getting overtaken by Muslims at some point in the near future. And I think we need to focus more on our viewer base in like other countries that aren't under siege currently. Yeah, like Poland.
Well, Poland's great. The
I don't know how
Irish,
Deutschland's.
they're
I don't know.
fucking trying. Oh, it's
I
50-50 there.
think I like Ireland, but unless they have death squads coming out in the middle of the night, they ain't gonna accomplish nothing. And I don't think the Irish have any weapons, so they're kind of screwed. I think like it's actually like pathetic. Like trying to see like seeing their resistance to this whole ordeal is them grabbing a picket fence signs and going out in the middle of the street. Like, buddy, you still don't get it. You don't get it. Like like the time to start taking care of this problem was yesterday, and it's been a month now. It's over, buddy. Like, I'm sorry. I do feel kind of bad for him in a way, but they brought it upon themselves. They really did. They really did. If they
It's
had more, if the men had more testicles, they would not be in the situation. But unfortunately, they do not.
it's funny. I
So
don't entirely disagree.
yeah, I
Normally,
mean
I'd be
it's
like, "That's not very nice." But to be honest, I've completely, I have zero faith on after our last episode on the UK and what I read was going on. I mean, it's really terrible. I mean, it is the worst thing you could possibly read happening in a Western society. I mean, it was like I was reading something straight from the Taliban. It's happening in Afghanistan or Iran. To be honest with you, maybe I think even Saudi Arabia has more decent laws in place to protect their women and children than UK right now. As sad as that is
yeah,
to say, it's depressing. It is very terrible to say. But the things that we talked about and read last week, I mean,
yeah,
that's just pure insanity. And brother, that shit started 15 years ago.
yeah,
They're just
yeah. 15 years.
so lost. I mean, I still have some hope for Ireland, maybe Spain and Italy, because the Mediterraneans tend to be a little spicier. They tend to fight a little harder,
Yeah,
and they're used to overthrowing some dictators. However, man, yeah, I don't know. It's just the UK. I immediately come back to the UK, and I'm like, the UK's fallen. It's just done. Like I genuinely do not see a path of recovery for them. And again, maybe things are going so wild there in terms of like civil war status that it's being so kept under wraps. But like, I don't see it. And on top of your thing about the men not doing anything, they've just been pacified. For the past like
yeah,
what 2 generations, they're just pacified.
yeah. It's over for them.
Yeah,
It's over.
and the UK's good.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think UK. The only way, well, like UK itself is gone. Ireland, we would have to bus in firearms to into their country, and
Well,
that's how they would have to take it back.
no, it's their next
That's the only way.
It's their next election. They have until their next
Yeah,
election because the guy, Conor McGregor. If you know who Conor McGregor is, he's an ex MMA
you're under a
fighter.
rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you probably live under a rock, and he is I don't know what to call him. He's a lot like he holds a lot of the migration policies that Trump would. So he wants to get all of them out. And unfortunately, the only way to get these people out is with military use. It's with force. It is with force. Sorry, you
Yeah.
have to go and round them up. As fucked up as that sounds, you know. Yeah, it sounds like we're talking like Hitler. We're gonna go round them up.
I mean,
Round them up.
listen, listen. Life ain't a game. Life ain't a game. People want to say life is a game. Life ain't a game. You go outside, you get fucking shot. You're dead. You're fucking dead. That's the reality. That's life. And like you could wake up one morning, fucking car crashes through your fucking window. Next thing you know, you're done. It's over. GG. Right? Like it ain't fair. It ain't easy. And there's people right now that are living like kings while there's innocent Palestinian children starving in Gaza right now. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. You're powerless. You're one of billions of people allegedly. And it's like, what are you gonna do, right?
Well,
You can only do one of two things. You can deport them out of the country, or you
yeah,
can kill them. That's it.
yeah.
Those are the only two options, and
Yeah.
they've chosen neither of those options. And so, what happens when a race outbreeds
The,
your race? You
the
lose.
worst
That's
thing.
how it is. They take over your country.
The worst thing happens. Sharia law happens. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad when I spend time talking about the Middle East on these episodes, where I'm like, this is what happens in the Middle East. Iraq just made it legal to marry a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Like shit like that. I feel terrible saying it out loud because I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. And
Yeah.
then we look at the UK, and this is why I think it's so important we talk about it ahead of time. It's like that we talk about it
Yeah.
because that can become us. And look at the UK. Just look at it. They want to administer Sharia law. There's little girls getting hurt, and there's little
Yeah.
girls getting hurt by the immigrants, and then there's that same little girl getting hurt by the police, and then that same little girl gets hurt by the judge who was overseeing her case for prostitution, even though she's under it. Like, that's what happens. That's
Yeah.
literally what happens, and that's why I bring it up. And everyone looks at me like, "Why are you talking about this stuff?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is why." It's like I don't want to end up like this, and we can talk about it in the U.S. It's happening here in the U.S. where it's not all Muslims, to be honest with you. I have some Muslim friends. They're very fucking normal, and you wouldn't think twice about it. However,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the ones who are getting imported straight from fucking Afghanistan, it's not the same. It's not the same person. It's not the same culture. It's different. It's extremely different. And here they
Yeah.
are with the same belief that they can just do these horrific things, and they're here. They're here. They're setting up mosques. They're living in Minnesota. Like, like they're just here, man. They've just been imported, and that's why I bring it up. We can talk about what happens in
Yeah.
Iraq, and the people who come from Iraq. They're going to probably, some of them, resonate with what policies have in Iraq. And again, just look at the UK. Nobody thought it could happen, and not only has it already happened, it can't be undone. Ireland has one
Yeah.
chance. They have one chance. You have to vote for the guy who says he's going to implement deportation. It's that simple. That is your last. You're right. You only have two options: fight or vote. You have one. You're almost down to one. Vote.
Yeah.
Vote for the guy who says he's going to deport. Doesn't matter if he's how paid for he is, as long as he deports. Because the other one's just as paid for. I don't even know his name. You need to vote for
Yeah.
Conor McGregor. It is what it is. And what's crazy is the second these type of politicians, Trump, Conor McGregor, Donald Tusk, the MMA fighter that just recently came to power in Poland, the first thing that happened, I always find this super interesting. But all of a sudden, this guy starts running for presidency, and there's all these sexual assault cases that start spawning out of nowhere. Oh, Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
he's cheating on his wife with this person. It's like, okay, well, you were clearly sitting on that until that person, decided to come for presidency, and now it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, Donald Trump fucked the prostitute. Okay, and so what
Yeah.
exactly? I'm supposed to care? I'm confused. You clearly were sitting on it until this man was running for presidency. You clearly don't have enough honor and integrity to just say it when it happens, and so instead you wait for it to be convenient for you, which shows that you don't really care. And I'm supposed to
Yeah.
choose the person who doesn't want to deport the people. You know what I mean? Doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah.
If Conor McGregor's worst quality, by the way, is that he cheated on his wife, and they're still married. That's like, I'm not for cheaters. I think it's pretty bad. It's probably one of the worst things you do to somebody. You tank their self-esteem. But as far as what other politicians are doing, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, like it's not even
Yeah.
close. And if that's the most amount of dirt they have on Conor McGregor, then
That's not too bad.
that's not too bad. You know, that's not the worst thing. You gotta vote this guy's. You gotta vote him in. I'm sorry, you just
Yeah.
have to. And I think
Yeah.
Germany. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Again, I've been ranting for a bit.
No, you're good. Like, and it's like, think about how the situation would be if you put this same situation that it's happening in the EU and you put them in Israel at the very beginning of the situation. You have a bunch of Muslims inside of Israel that aren't supposed to be there. They're there illegally and they're raping and robbing people.
Well, we already
What
know
do you
what that
think
looks like.
the IDF would do to them?
We know what they would do. We're seeing it in Gaza
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
We know what they would do.
People criticize Israel for their actions, and while Israel is operating on a completely evil and racist standpoint 100% of the way, look at them. They're a complete ethno state. They function off of American taxpayer dollars. They have free healthcare. They have free college tuition. They get to take whatever home that a Palestinian once owned because they're Palestinian and not Jewish. Like, they have it made. Like, why wouldn't you want to live in Israel? That's the thing. The only reason not to live in Israel is the fear of getting bombed. That's it. And if you consider the fact that Tel Aviv has only been hit once in the past, however many years, right?
Yeah, it's been
That's
very
not too
few.
fucking bad,
It's
right?
less than 10 total in the past, like fucking I don't know 5 years at least. But I would, that's not counting the hundreds of missiles that have been launched at them. I mean, it's got to be more. It's got to be thousands. But I mean, yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
look,
is it?
China,
Yeah,
Yeah, China's the same way. Very xenophobic. They will do whatever they want to foreigners. You can only be there for so long on a visiting visa. Look what they do to the Uyghurs.
yeah,
They're very
yeah,
ethnocentric too, and they have
yeah.
flourished. I'm not saying you should be ethnocentric, but what you really shouldn't be is opening your borders up to people from countries that will turn you into the
I
Ukraine. Let
think
me just phrase it
I
like
think
that.
ethnocentrism. I think ethnocentrism isn't a bad idea, and the reason why I think it's not a bad idea is because you can't have bad actors in the community. It's not possible, right? So, like, for example, in like an Asian community like China, right? Someone can't be like, we need to start imposing these types of laws on people that make this level of income or this area, residential area, and people aren't can't come up to them and be like, well, that's racist because so and so people live there, or that's sexist because it affects Latino women or Latino women um on a biased level, right? They can't say that shit. It doesn't work because they're all the same fucking race. But in America, if you try to implement something like that, then it's like, oh, well, that's racist because you're targeting black people or you're targeting Hispanic people. And it becomes this whole fucking issue. And it becomes and all this red tape gets piles up and you can't get anything through. But in China, they can get whatever the fuck they want through without having people complaining about racism or sexism or some sort of homophobia or any other bullshit because they know that's not what it's about. Right? You look at Israel, you look at China, you look at Russia. Russia's very ethnocentric, right?
Yeah,
All
not
three of
not
those
as
countries are
not
still
as
intact.
much, but yeah, they still are. Not
Yeah.
as much. They're
And
still
it's like,
pretty accepting of different, at least religious communities. But yeah, they're still, my counterpoint to that would be, America didn't it, you know, didn't necessarily rise just on being ethnocentric, but perhaps I'm more in the middle ground of just simply you should have a border, vet the people coming in, bring in the intelligent people, the ones who are trying their best to work as hard. They believe in the American dream. They believe in the culture, and America, got really good based on those metrics. It just didn't throw its borders open to everybody. That just wasn't what it looked like.
no, no, not at all. And it doesn't work. And and Trump, even though I don't like him, and he's a terrible liar, and he's a pedophile, and he's a Satanist. All things I don't like about him. However, the one good thing he's done is he's realized if you want America to be a safe haven for Israeli people, you have to get rid of the Mexicans, the illegal Mexicans in the country.
It's
So
not. It's not
even though
really.
he's
It's not really the Mexicans, bro. It's more the people coming from the country
Mexico,
south of Mexico. It's
which
really what it
is
is. Well, El Salvador, fucking Venezuela, Peru, Colombia, Brazil. I mean, they when he when he says that they were literally just dumping their prisoners into our country, he kind of means it. Like that's what they were literally doing. Was like if you were they were just exiling the bad people from their country. Like
Yeah.
just go to America. Here's how it
Yeah.
can be done. Here's the program that you can use.
Yeah.
Just claim asylum, and you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not gonna work anymore
No.
because Israel's been under some fire from Iran, from their missiles, right? And while typically Israel has been in a pretty good position, now they're starting to realize that a lot of the world is really hates them, like, a lot, and they want to go to war with them. China especially does not like them right now,
Oh, China hates you. China
and
hates Israel for sure.
yeah. And so, the thing is, you're gonna really start to see a huge culture change when you see the ethno-state people, the people that are completely ethnocentric, start to move from Israel to America, and you're gonna start to understand and start to see things happen like, "Oh, what do you mean we can't give taxpayer dollars to SNAP and EBT anymore? What happened to all of our benefits? Why are we so much more stricter on illegal immigration now? Because we have God's chosen people in the country now, and it has to be suitable for God's chosen people, which means we can't have illegal immigrants. That would ruin it. That they would look bad. They after all they aren't Jewish first off, and they cause problems. Jewish people don't like that. Jewish people don't like illegal immigrants at all. So they have to go. And then SNAP and EBT. Why are we giving money to SNAP and EBT to poor people for? That's money that's going to poor people that could be going to Jewish people. So you're going to lose that too. And then it's like, Canada. Well, what if the Jewish people want to go north for the winter, like birds? Well,
Canada's
Canada
cooked too.
can't be allowed to operate. Like tariffs aren't enough. I'm afraid for the Jewish people. We're going to have to take Canada over, and that's going to belong to the Jewish people too. And they're going to have a vacation home up north when it gets hot in the summer, and they can't go to Florida. So yeah, that Canada's going to go too. And then after that, not only that, you're also going to have things like Mexico, which is already under the control of a Jewish president. Uh, Once again, maybe it's winter now again. It's too cold up in Canada. They need to go to another vacation home, Mexico. There you go, right? Well, Steinbaum up over in Mexico, Mexico's new president, 100%. She'll give them free residency. They'll become dual residents of Mexico too, and yeah, that's pretty much the future. And I think people don't really understand that they don't know how to achieve control of the situation, and they seem to think that, oh, everything's fine right now, but it's going to be this way for a while. Nope. Once the people that own you come to live, it's like your parents move out of the house and they say that you can live in the house while they're gone, right? And that they're gone for like 20 years, right? And so they come back and the house is a complete mess, and they're like, "All right, that's it. We're cleaning this up, and you guys are gonna have to live out in the shed in the backyard." That's pretty much how what's gonna happen in a simplified analogical format. That's what's gonna happen.
I'm way more curious to see what happens as I it's very obvious there's anti-Israel. I don't even necessarily want to call it anti-Israel. We're painting it that way. It's really just pro-America is really what it is. There's a lot more people who
Yeah,
are very pro-America, and
yeah.
unfortunately, not all of American virtues align with Israel's. And I'm curious to see when that starts to clash. We
I
aren't going to get at
disagree.
this presidency at all.
I disagree, Doug. When
I
you
mean,
have 422 versus 6 representative members for another bill that's pro-Israel and not pro-America, it doesn't really matter what the common man in America
my
thinks,
my
right?
counter to that would be that commie guy winning in New York, right? The only reason he's winning, and he's commie, which plays the liberal
Yeah.
crowd, but the main reason the Republican side and the liberals or libertarians are voting for him, and people in the middle, is because he's anti-Israel. Like
Okay.
he's not openly anti-Israel, but you could kind of tell.
He's probably gonna be assassinated, Doug.
You might be right,
If
but
if he's not already working for Mossad, he's
it
probably going to be
it
assassinated.
it does show that the people who come out against them. Also, RFK, I think, is kind of sleeping on it. I think he's fully fucking aware, and he's been kind of sleeping on this for a while. I don't know what his next plan is, but I wouldn't necessarily count that guy out. I think he's got some things cooking. I hope he does, because he tends to like pinpoint. pinprick things, right? When he talked about the woman in the polka dot dress, do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he kind of knows. I think he gets it, and I think he's kind of aiming for that one moment where he can get his position and actually try. But my point is, it's become so obvious what's going on now that the younger generations know that they need to vote for anyone who isn't, pro-Israel, or
Yeah.
is at the very minimum just a middle ground and is pro-America. And
Yeah.
I don't, and MT, like you said, MTG's been kind of vocal. I don't know if she's experiencing or if she has higher goals, but all I'm saying is there's a
They
lot
will
of,
not be accomplished.
I maybe not, but what I'm saying is there are quite a few amount of people who are starting to pop up now who are very much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call them pro-American. I'm not calling them anti-Israel because I don't think they are. I think they're just pro-American. I'm tired of calling it anti-Israel
Yeah.
because fuck that language. It's retarded. They're pro-America, and they're
Yeah.
starting to pop up all over the place. And while
Yeah.
you're right, I think most can be shut down. All it really takes is one to slip through the cracks. Trump was kind of like that, where he kind of slipped through the
Like,
cracks.
I wouldn't mind voting for a race like a communist representative that hates white people and wants to import a bunch of illegal immigrants if it means we're going to be getting rid of, this foreign influence that's infected and corrupted our country. I would not mind. I would not mind having a completely communist country at this point if it means we get rid of a foreign influence that's just completely damaging.
I would.
I'm willing to throw the
I'm
baby
in
out
the
with the
opposite boat.
bathwater.
That's fair. I get the sentiment. I'm in the opposite. I'm like, if I have to choose between fascism and communism, I choose fascism. I don't even think it's fucking close, to be honest with you guys. And Eisenhower would
Yeah.
agree with me. Oh, but hey, we've
Didn't
talked.
Eisenhower
Yeah.
stroke his dick in the pool
Oh yeah.
at the White House?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. Old American presidents were base as fuck.
Kind of. Kinda.
Kinda. Uh,
Some of them were. Teddy was pretty based.
Teddy was base as fuck. Teddy was a fucking
Yeah.
beast, dude. But we won't spend that much time talking about it. It's something we beat to death. If I had to guess, this probably would be near the last time we talk about it until something major happens. Just because I think both of us are in that boat of like, this is the nail in the
Like
coffin.
it
It's done,
oh,
so it's
I mean
hopeless. It's not, it's not going
yeah.
away.
I mean there's no point. Like it's not news anymore if there's nothing new happening,
Yeah,
right? At that point it's just we're regurgitating the same
yeah.
shit.
This
And it's not
I wanted to put a cap on it. I wanted to summarize it all and from beginning to end. And so I have.
yeah.
And we'll move on to some that was all kind of bleak, but we've got good news here that I've been waiting to chat about. So,
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about AI and those breakthroughs that were coming, and they're starting to come out now. We've got
Yeah.
lots of things that were just announced in terms of medical AI push-throughs. The big
Yeah.
one, or big two, and we'll start with Japan. Japan has they're basically removed Down syndrome from being a thing. They will now genetically alter every single child embryo that is detected to have Down syndrome, and they know how to get rid of it every single time by removing that extra chromosome. There will be no more Down syndrome children, and I don't know how I feel about this. This one I read, and I just it I I was stunted just because, in my immediate reaction is like that's a great thing, but my secondary reaction and some forethought after was, wow, that's kind of crazy to think about. And
Yeah.
I almost felt bad. It was like a derogatory, like, is Down syndrome a bad thing to have? Obviously, it's
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
no, I know, but is it bad enough that we need to remove it?
Think about it
It's
like this, Doug. If you're walking on the side of the street, you have Down syndrome, and there's a car coming at you at like 50 miles an hour, right? Which is in lethal range. If you have Down syndrome and your buddies don't, and your buddies say, "Jimmy, dive to the side," you're probably it's probably over for you. It's
okay.
probably
Let
over.
me let me push this a little bit of a step further. Right? We've
Yeah.
cured Down syndrome. Maybe that's very easily a great thing. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who will never exist. Is kind of what my thought process was. There's a lot of people now who literally won't exist because we're able to genetically modify them. That their personalities will never exist. Their thoughts will never happen. Their creations will never happen. You know, it's
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it felt like all of a sudden a lot of people just died at one time. And again, I'm gonna push it a little forward because maybe that's not big deal. In terms of whether or not it's worth it. Down syndrome bad, easy gone. But let's take it a step further and maybe do IQ differences. Base it on IQ.
Yeah.
At what level should we knock out mental retardation? You know, at what IQ level do we do that? 75, 80?
Well, the problem here, Doug, with mental retardation is that
That's broad.
in or well, certain races are more likely to
Well,
be at the level of mental retardation
sure.
depending on what IQ you put it at.
Well, you bring up another good point. Is just for the sake of argument, let's just say I don't want to do the obvious, but let's say an entire race of people had the lowest IQ.
Yeah.
Is it ethically okay for us to change that?
Not if you give rights to those people and you allow them into your country and you allow them to be citizens, then no, it's not okay because you've given them a home, and at that point you can no longer categorize them. You're not allowed to because they're already in the country.
Right, but they would have children, and if those
Yeah.
children didn't meet their IQs calculated by gene using AI and gene reading.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, gene mapping. You could tell their IQ, and
Yeah.
you could just change that genetically. Again, at what?
I don't I
Where
don't
do
I
you
don't think
draw
there's
the
any
line?
there's no problem with increasing a child's IQ. I think there's more of a problem with decreasing their IQ. Making them so stupid that they don't understand anything seems like worse of a curse than being able to understand most things, right? I don't know. I feel like
Let
that's
me
part of the human experience,
let
you
me
know?
just go all the way through in the sense of how much gene editing should we be doing to embryos before they're not even the same person that they would have
Well,
been, and we're just manufacturing humans.
well, that future has already been set in stone. There's nothing will be off limits. Nothing will be off limits. We'll be gene editing everything from the size of your ears to the size of your nose to the color of your eyes to how intelligent you are, how tall you are. All those things, nothing will be off limits.
Well, that's technically against the UN has already ruled on this and has made it illegal.
The UN has stated that Israel's actions against Gaza have been a war crime, right?
Yeah.
And what do they do about it? Nothing. Nothing. They just jerk off in the corner. And that's what they'll do when China decides to do some gene editing and make,
Oh,
a
they
bunch
already
of
do.
fucking super soldiers. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, UN says, actually, you can't do that because we made a law, a world law against it. You know what China's going to say? Fuck you.
All right, they already have. You're right about China.
Yeah.
I think the big question here
Yeah.
is the U.S. because I don't think most of the Asian countries aren't going to care about this. The question
Yeah.
is where will the U.S. fall? The U.S. actually, in my opinion, and they actually fall on the good lines here. Of they're pretty harsh on gene editing. They do have a lead on the technology though, an insane lead on the technology. It's fucking crazy.
Well,
But
yeah. What do you think the vaccines do?
it gets crazier than that. The U.S. like leads in being able to edit your entire genome in one swoop. Normally, you have to do like a piece at a time. Like you want ears. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We'll make their ears shorter, and then we'll take an embryo from that baby. And what do you want? Longer and taller? Okay, fine. We'll make that. But
Yeah.
the U.S. is the only one that accesses this technology that can literally edit the entire genome at one time. But the U.S. something we should be proud of, at least in my opinion, is very harsh on the use of this technology. They're not very much
I,
for just gene editing from birth. And hey, you want a designer baby? They're very much against it. The U.S. is probably a country that is the most against
because it would be
manufacturing
a
children this
positive
way.
for the people. It would be a positive for the people to have. It wouldn't be a negative. So
Maybe
that's the reason why.
it's fine if
If you can make
why
it, because it's because it's probably easier to do than what we think it is, and two, because if we had the option to do it, everyone would choose to make their kids smarter, which would make them less susceptible to propaganda. Once again, America is an evil country. It is a 100% evil country. It is. I'm serious, Doug. America is an evil, corrupt country.
Dude, America's the only reason we can all sit around on our phones and computers all day long. And
Yeah,
it literally leads in feeding. You wouldn't be able to support the population it has on feeding. And nuclear imaging technology. Like, I could not even express to you how many people live off U.S. technology. It's not even fucking close. U.S.
yeah,
is not
they're
an
still evil.
Okay,
They
fine.
are.
Okay.
Like the thing is, Doug, I can chill in Russia and play Dota 2 and CS:GO all fucking day and be chill in Russia,
An
right?
American
I can go
game
to
on
China.
American hardware on American software. What are you saying? On an internet made mainstream by America. What are you talking about?
I could chill in China and I could play Garena Free Fire, right? Like
On
it's all the same thing,
American
right? Like
software.
I can go to no, nope, Garena Free Fire is not American.
I didn't say it was. I said on American software. So Apple,
Taiwanese.
Windows,
Taiwan makes all the chips.
it's designed and made, or not maybe not made, but it's designed by America. And all chips used to be made in America. It was only recently exported.
Microsoft sold over some of their patents for the operating system so that China can edit it and not have bloatware on their operating systems for their computers.
So then I don't think they sold them. They probably sold access to them, which is a lot different. America doesn't sell their patents to foreign governments like that. What they do is they sell access to them and rent them out. That's how the chips are made. They sold access to the
Yeah.
blueprints. So it's a lot different. It's not, selling your patent is like
I mean, I guess they
another
didn't,
thing.
obviously they didn't give them, give them the fucking patents for money, right? But you get what I mean. China is not reliant upon American technology. They aren't.
They are.
I don't think any
They
country at
literally
this
are.
point is.
They all are.
I think the only
They
American
all are.
technology that we have that's being outsourced across the world at this point is fighter jets and Apple. I think that's about it.
Microsoft is
And even
American.
Apple, most of their stuff is made overseas.
Fiber optic cables, wasn't that made in America? the
I mean, yeah, fiber optic cables were made in
the
America.
the 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 cables being laid in the ocean, all of that is done by American boats. All of that technology is done by America. America also leads in a lot of the oil drilling technology. America also leads in LNG technology. America also leads in nuclear technology. Nuclear, not just meaning energy, but also, when you go to the doctor, they use nuclear imaging. It's very easy
Yeah,
to say America's dog shit when you fucking
they
are
are.
so covered in America you don't even notice anymore. No matter where you are in the
Yeah.
world.
Well, here's the thing, Doug. We have all these technological accomplishments, but how does this reflect on the people? We have homeless veterans. We still have a fentanyl epidemic from Mexico. We're giving SNAP and EBT to single mothers with 5 kids who are getting $2,000 a month for their fucking SNAP and EBT cards, while homeless veterans are dying on the street. It's like, what's the point of these technological advancement? We don't have free healthcare like Israel does. We don't have free college like Israel does.
We
The people
basically
get fucked
have
in the
free
ass
we
while the
basically
government
have
leeches
free
off them.
college. We basically have free college and free medical care. It's not you can go to the
We don't have
hospital.
free college.
It doesn't reflect on your yes you do. How dude, I don't know anybody who actually went to college and didn't get a scholarship.
Okay. Most people don't get scholarships, Doug. Most people don't.
Okay, well, I don't know, do better. Go to trade school. It's more worth it anyway. Also, your argument
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
be
Doug,
okay. Look at all the bad things about America. They outweigh all the good. I mean, you listed off a bunch of bad things.
they
But
kind of do.
no, I don't even think it's
Doug,
close.
Trump was trying to set up a clause that said if you did not pledge loyalty to not boycott Israeli products, your state would not receive disaster relief funding. I don't think you understand how evil our fucking
Why are
country
you?
is.
But you're using a law that's not even in place yet to show how evil our country has been. I'm so
They
confused.
were about to put it in place, but they couldn't because of all the backlash from everyone, like from everywhere.
Good.
People were pissed off about it.
That should tell you how good America
Yeah,
is. And in
the
any other
people are,
country, it would have
not
went
how
through
good the
anyway.
government is.
Okay, well, America and the people, it's the same thing. Who do you think, like,
Other countries aren't bowing down to Israel, excluding the European
what?
continent.
Okay. Let's list all the countries bowing down to Israel: Argentina, Mexico, fucking Saudi Arabia maybe could be listed there. Egypt,
I guess what I mean, Doug, is that other countries
all
that
of
are
EU.
attempting to be self-sufficient, China, yeah, I already said excluding EU.
Okay,
Like
but
China, for example,
even Russia has pretty close ties with uh Israel.
they used to. They got rid of the Rothschilds bank. That's why Israel is working with America to deal with the Ukraine situation.
They're still pretty close. They're definitely not as close as they used to be, but they're still pretty close because of the Turk situation.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think anytime soon that we're going to be seeing America splitting off from any foreign influence at all.
No, I don't think so either. Most of America's been about foreign influence for quite a while. But that's still not my
Yeah,
point. The argument was worth of America versus bad or good, but I mean, I don't know. You're drawing an outcome.
we can just agree to disagree on it. We
That's
have our own perspectives.
more than fine. We speaking of Russia, they have announced their cure for cancer, which we've talked about a few times on here, but that was probably the easiest for AI, just because there's already been so many cures in place for a while.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, these things are like big news, but
Well, Doug, once again, we were just talking about technological advancements of America, and America already knew how to develop this technology. They just didn't do it because it wasn't profitable. Meanwhile, you have Russia being like, "Oh yeah, hey guys, we have a cancer vaccine that gets rid of tumors." Where was America? Once again, America doesn't give a fuck about the people. It only cares about the entity. You got Russia over here who's making no money off of doing this, and they just fucking release it. Once again, it's like, who cares more about the people, America or Russia? From most people's perspective, America is a very evil fucking country and selfish.
there's no way most people, as in who, most.
Russia just released a vaccine that cures fucking cancer. Chinese are making a cure for fucking diabetes. Like,
Why is it so
where
close?
where is it? Like, look at what these other two countries were supposedly, according to all the propaganda that America has released for the past century, that these two are evil communist countries and the people are living in poverty. And here they are coming up with cures for fucking cancer and diabetes.
You have to. Please don't tell me you're thinking.
But we don't profit from it.
You can
so
profit.
what's the point of developing it, right?
You can
because
profit,
the companies can't profit.
You can profit off a cure for cancer, for sure. You can profit off it. That's not why it's being held back. If it's being held back, again, you're blaming the companies. I blame the government. The government just needs to break up monopolies.
How much money flows through cancer treatment companies? $447.3 billion by 2028.
Okay.
$447.3 billion by 2028.
Okay, so
that is how much money cancer makes them. If they developed a cure for cancer, which they already have it, by the way, they just withhold it from the people in the country, they would lose out on 90% of that.
Yeah, and then they would move on to a different product.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would not. That would just be gone money. That would be a 90% fucking loss. They would not move on to anything else because they would have cured the fucking problem that they pay for us to treat.
Somebody makes, dude, it's not, they move every single rich
It's
person
all about profit. It is all about profit. Meanwhile, in Russia, no profit, nothing to gain from it. Here's the cure for fucking cancer. I might. I've been thinking about moving to literally any other country, Doug. I don't want to be around the Israeli dick suckers anymore.
I want you
I do.
to. I want you and
You'll see me
everybody
with a
else
nice
to.
Russian hat. I just don't want. I don't want to have to learn Russian though. I kind of just want them to speak English. I don't really feel like learning the
Then you
language.
must not care about the cure for cancer that bad.
I do. I mean, I can just fly over there and get it, but it's not a big deal.
Anyways, if you would stop
Granted, actually, I wouldn't fly.
crying as much as you are, what I was going to say is that unfortunately America has been held back by both corporations and their not wanting to spread their technology to other countries because they think it would all be world ending. I'm glad now that Russia and China are actually competing with America, that America will be forced to actually compete back. So there's no way Russia can announce a cure without America being like, okay, it's time to fucking announce our own shit and finally push stuff forward. And you can see that with RFK and what he's done so far. There's no way that Russia and Japan announce this stuff in China, it doesn't get big headlines, and then all of a sudden the big question is, what the fuck? We're supposed to be so technologically advanced. Why don't we have cures? And then all of a sudden you're gonna see a huge breakout of these cures because we already have them.
America
They're
is
just not
not going to
released.
throw away $450 billion. If someone tries to release a cure, they will be killed.
Okay, I will write it down,
America is not going to.
and then when it happens,
The
I'm going to
pharmaceutical
rub it
medical
all over
industry.
your face.
Okay, and when I watch yet another guy get killed for trying to release a cure for cancer in America, I will laugh in your face
Okay,
because
that's
that is
fine.
exactly what's going to happen. There's no sane company in a capitalist economy like ours, where it is controlled by a monopoly, effectively. They're not going to throw away $450 billion. They're not going to allow that shit to be burned by someone with a vaccine in their hand. It's not going to happen.
Okay, so you don't think they'll get rid of the chemicals that they put in the food or the dyes?
Right right now, the thing about the chemicals is it makes it a cheaper by a small margin. They can afford to color it using beetroots and other vegetables like carrots. It's not that big a deal. They just didn't want to have to spend the time and money to actually create that system. So it was easier to just make the food coloring and cheaper and more cost efficient and time efficient. That's the reason why they did it. And because the FDA is like, hey, listen, we're going to require you to do this and we're going to give you a year to do it, right? To get rid of like Red 40, for example.
What
And
about the
they'll end up
vaccines?
switching over to the system that the European Union. What about them?
We won't cut back on the vaccines. All those announcements are fake. Not happening.
Doug,
Fake news.
all vaccines in this country are poison. All vaccines in this country are poison.
Not all of them.
They put mercury, aluminum. They cause
They can
things
no
like
longer.
infertility.
They
They
can no
cause things like
longer.
autism.
They can no longer allow
They cause
mercury.
certain types of.
Mercury has been banned. This got banned by RFK.
How long did that take? How long have we known that mercury was toxic?
I don't
Probably
know.
decades, right, Doug? And what did they do? How long did it take? They don't give a fuck. They don't. This country does not give a fuck about its people. This is a dog eat dog country where the rich eat the fucking poor. It's how it is.
The
It
other
is.
countries
It
aren't
is.
the other countries aren't dog eat dog.
They are dog eat dog. They are
Okay.
also dog eat dog. However, they understand that there is no sense of rebellion. There is no sense of the unpredictability about the people below them. So they know that if they help them out, they're more willing to, be a little bit coerced. It's not the same as it is over here.
Russia has had more coups and turnovers than any other country on the planet.
Yeah, because of Bolshevism. Let's not twist things around. Let's not forget who the Bolsheviks were.
Even before the Bolsheviks, they still had more.
Yeah, because they were still trying to implement a country that just didn't work. It didn't operate on communism. It just doesn't work like that.
They weren't communists before the Bolsheviks.
They were.
No, they weren't. They ran under a
Bolsheviks were.
they ran under a SAR system. SAR, however you say that word. TSAR.
Are you Indian?
No, that's what the system was that they ran under in Russia.
Oh, I thought you were using an Indian slur against me. I was
No,
like, Doug, this is not the time for that. I'm going to redeem.
Russia, a country that you say does not fear turnover, has had the most turnovers of any country in the world. And China is, it hasn't had as many I wouldn't call them turnovers, but has been in civil war for most of its lifetime. It's still technically in the middle of a civil war. Technically, the current China that we know it has only been
Yeah.
around for about 40, 50 years.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, Doug, it's like they benefit from having a strong populace. America does not benefit from having a strong populace because they don't need a strong
There's
populace because
positives.
they get.
Then why are we so pro having a strong populace now?
We aren't.
We aren't. You're crazy. I don't know if you're
No,
watching the same thing.
RFK is the only light at the end of the tunnel. He's the only light at the end of the tunnel is RFK. He's the only one that's actually done anything positive in this administration aside from the deportation thing that Trump started.
My wallet
Aside from
says
those
there's
two
more
things,
positives than just RFK.
all right, name some other positives, Doug.
All right. Well, inflation is down, so that's fucking fantastic. I like market volatility. I think the tariffs are great. We've had a reduction in income taxes. Both my brother is benefiting from, my grandmother is benefiting from the decrease in taxes. What else? I mean, that's actually not too bad so far. It's only 6 months in. It's done more than most. Deportations
Once again,
have
Doug,
already done quite a bit. He chased out
from
the
the point
Canadians. That's going to drive housing prices down. The pharmaceutical
in American
tariffs are coming in. Industry's coming back. There's been an AI boom, which has been nice. There's going to be an energy boom, which is
AI
also
doesn't help
nice.
us.
Dude, I don't know what is with you today. You're so doom and gloom about everything. America sucks. AI sucks. What? What is going on?
I mean, like Doug, it's like from the point that an American citizen is born to the point that they die, their life consists of being given vaccines, right? Being poisoned, being given illnesses like cancer from the food they eat that they have to pay for treatment for. The entire purpose of an American citizen's life from the moment they're born to the moment that they die is to give money to the big corporations. That is it. That is the entire purpose of an American citizen's life.
That's the existence of all countries. That's capitalism. That's capitalism. Congratulations, that's capitalism. As compared to what exactly? Like what country do you think in which people aren't working and giving money to a corporation? But the Chinese do
Well,
it. They give their money to corporations. Where do you think the money goes exactly? To the government? Where do you think the government gives their money? They put it in their pocket, and then they give it to corporations to do stuff. That's capitalism. There are only two countries today that exist under true socialism or communism, and that's Cuba and Vietnam. Those are the only two, and I can go on the list of all the problems of Cuba. Vietnam might be the best example of a communist country that works, but you know, it's still quite a struggle for them. It's literally just communism or capitalism. If you can name a better system, then great. But you do realize how public and private healthcare works, right? Private healthcare is subsidized by each of the governments. That's where the tax money goes. It's just the same thing. You're still on the universal healthcare. Do you know how all those are you willing to pay 60, 70% of your money for universal healthcare? Are you? I mean, that's what they do. That's where that money goes. I think your perception of how other people are living in other countries is like skewed. The EU has universal
Doug,
healthcare.
Here's what I know.
We spend every episode talking about how dog shit they are. Like I'm so confused.
Russia has developed a cure for cancer.
Yes.
They give free universal health care to their citizens. China is developing a cure for diabetes. They give universal health care to their citizens. Israel doesn't need to worry about developing anything. They take care of their own citizens perfectly fine.
Using
free housing, free college, free healthcare, using our money, our taxes. But we, the American people, who have paid for all this other bullshit in other countries. And also, we've not just only paid for it, we've been doing it for decades. Decades.
What?
And we
I
don't
don't
have
understand.
any universal healthcare.
If your
Any
argument
universal
if your
healthcare.
argument is
S
that we should have universal
sitting
health care, I agree. I don't disagree with it. It can be done. But it can be done under a capitalist system too.
how? You have to pay more, right? That's
You
how it
want to
works. The rate the rate the rate yeah.
here's how. Here's how. Realistically speaking, the use of the technology used to diagnose people is actually really cheap.
Yeah.
It's not nearly expensive as they make it out to be. But they're allowed to abuse the system in order to, increase prices ridiculously. And that's kind of coming out to light. People are realizing it. Like, okay, this is a bunch of bullshit. How can it be fixed? Our government needs to step on their throats. Now, here's some specific ways the government can step on their throat. Trump is starting to threaten it. Biden threatened it during his term. The government owns the patents, most of the patents that are, used in this technology. Nuclear imaging, I assure you, that is owned by the U.S. government and is not a completely private owned thing. It is not. It is most of the medicines that we take are also created and discovered by, in part, the American system, okay, which gives the U.S. government ownership of some of the patents. So here's something that can actually be done and has been done before a long time ago. Biden said he was going to do it during his term. When a company or companies are making the price too expensive, this is commonly done for like Ozempic and the diabetes medications, the U.S. government can simply sell access to the patents to more corporations. Biden threatened to do this, and then they had a meeting, and all of a sudden he didn't do it. Trump is threatening to do that now. Now we'll see if he pulls through. I don't know if he will. I don't have faith. But there are plenty of tools the U.S. government can use to bring that. The price should be really cheap. It's not. The question isn't here public versus private. It should be really cheap. A piece of gauze shouldn't cost $10 a pop. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't. Really, you should only be paying for the expertise, the professional, the doctor to come in and do his job. That's really all you should. Everything else should be insanely cheap. It's not, because unfortunately the government has made a deal with the corporations where they all get a piece of the pie and they're allowed to increase prices. It can't exist. It's not even hard. I don't even think it's close to being hard. The government just needs to enact anti-monopoly laws and enforce them. They're already existent. They just need to enforce them. Sell the patents to more companies, which has been done before. I don't remember under which president. Probably fucking JFK. But it can be done. That's all that needs to get done. And again, I think we're getting closer there. Like I said, Biden threatened it. Somehow he had a meeting with the people and decided 4 price caps was enough at the end of his term. Trump is threatening it now. Again, I don't know if it'll happen, but I know these tools exist. Trust me, it doesn't cost that much to have a piece of gauze or a needle and thread going through your skin. It doesn't cost that much. Pennies is what it costs. They're just charging at the wazoo for fun, and then they give Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders a cut of the money to sit there and say, "Yeah, we need free healthcare." Why? Because then they can charge the government whatever they want, and it'll be insane amounts of money. We need the government to step on their throats, increase competition. Every problem America has, it's a fucking monopoly problem. Every single problem. Eye care, cheap. It should be cheap as hell. Your glasses should cost nothing, less than $100. Does it? Why? Because the government signed a deal with one company to provide glasses, and they have a monopoly in the market. Same with education; it's super expensive. They said education should be very cheap for everybody. And when they say it should be cheap for everybody, and this is universal across every single country, when they say cheap for everybody, what it really means is they're going to collect taxes from everybody. A lot of it, and a large portion of your taxes are then going to go to that company that has a monopoly. John Deere, Monsanto's, the company that does eyeglasses, I can't remember. I just learned it recently. It's like Luminaire or some shit. That's how it works. It shouldn't work like that. I agree that the government needs to step on their throats and enforce anti-monopoly laws. But I'm telling you, if you look at how every country does it when it comes to free anything or some kind of form of welfare, they sign a monopoly deal with a corporation, and then the corporation raises prices like crazy and tells the government, you need to give us a portion of, all of the taxes. It's really fucking bad. If our market was truly free, would be great. Healthcare would be cheap as fuck. We are kind of moving in that direction. We'll have to wait and see if Trump's going to pull off what he says he's going to pull off.
Here's what I know. Russia, China, Israel, they already have this. We don't. This is a very basic thing that most other countries on the planet have, and we don't have it. We're behind. We used to be the most educated country on the planet. Now we're like 20th. Like
I
maybe
think
even
we're
lower than that,
lower. I
maybe
think we're
23rd.
lower. No, I think it's even lower than that.
Yeah.
I think we're like in the 50s or something.
We're fucking stupid. I hate this country. We don't have free healthcare. Most other countries do. We're behind. We are behind. We are a stupider, lazier country than we were 100 years ago. That's just the reality. And there's really no getting around it. Russia's got a cure for fucking cancer. China's developing a cure for diabetes. We don't give a fuck about anything.
Japan cured Down syndrome.
Yeah, with money cures everything, right? Just keep living that philosophy all the way till.
Well, it does. Those countries did cure those things with money.
This ain't we ain't 50 years ago anymore. I do want to move out of this country very badly.
Well, there's a lot of options, so go for it. I'm hoping that
I will be looking to do it.
My main point for bringing these things up was that, and I've said it before, I'm hoping that it'll finally bring competition to the American healthcare system, and for them to finally press some again on the pharmaceutical companies' throats. And with RFK kind of leading the charge, I'm pretty hopeful it'll happen. And from what I've seen so far, I think it will happen. So, there's no way that Trump and RFK don't look at these announcements and go, "What the fuck?" And RFK already knows this stuff. He already knows about the monopolies. He talks about it all the time. He's very much aware.
Yeah.
And I don't think Trump. I mean, Trump received a lot of money from Pfizer and Moderna.
Yeah.
For the COVID shit. However, that guy just does not give a fuck about. I mean, he only cares about Israel and big oil. That's literally his two. Those are the only two things he cares about. I don't think he's gonna, stop RFK. If anything, he'll just take credit for it.
Maybe.
Speaking of China, we got a little bit of global news.
Sure.
China bans crypto. China is banning access to crypto. They're banning crypto mining. They are banning crypto use as a currency. They're completely cutting themselves off from this. And here's probably the biggest diversion from China and the U.S. It is right here. U.S. is going to use it to back their currency. We're already one of the bigger miners.
Yeah.
And China.
Yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion on crypto. I mean, you can't really ban crypto. You can only ban access to related servers that are used to transfer crypto. You can't really actually ban cryptocurrency itself. So if you already have crypto in a wallet and you live in China, your crypto is still fine. You just are going to have to use a VPN. They can't officially ban it or anything. It's kind of a stupid statement to make, to be honest. But if they want to live in fantasy land and pretend like they've done something about the whole crypto thing, then sure, go for it. Crypto mining, they can probably stop.
Yeah, that's easy.
But they can't stop. But actually, like trading and buying crypto, not really. So maybe they just don't want them to be using up so much electricity. I don't know.
No, it's because crypto is, I'm going to hate to call it this, but it's like a freedom currency where it's a lot harder to trace and track. And China needs to be able to trace every single thing their people are doing all the time. On top of that, they want to stick it to the U.S. And if the U.S. is going to back their currency with crypto, China doesn't want, China doesn't want their citizens turning the yuan into crypto and therefore buffing the American dollar. That's the exact opposite of it. The yuan is already kind of in the shitter, and
I think it's Juan, Doug.
Sorry, Juan. yuan is
Yeah.
what is it? Korea? No, Korea's
Yeah.
Korea's won. My bad. No, Korea's won,
No.
and China is
No.
yuan.
China is one,
No, look
and
it up.
then
Korea
Korean
is
currency
won. Korea is WON. China is YUAN yuan.
won, and then China is won.
Yuan.
Okay, I see.
China is having a currency problem where their currency isn't worth shit, and they're freaking the fuck out. And if you're a smart Chinese person, you are probably turning your yuan into crypto because crypto is, it's a safer, more valuable asset, and that's a big problem for China. So there's no doubt that this is for that. Whether or not China has the means to enforce it, I think they will at the very least eventually.
I mean, all things considered, though, the Chinese yuan is pretty stable.
Stably low.
Yeah, let's see Russia currency.
The ruble.
Kind of the same situation.
Well,
Oh, it
they
actually
had,
went down. It's gone down by about 25%, but now it's going up again a little bit. So it went from 0.9 to 0.13, essentially,
it's basically
or
used as cheap as the dollar.
0.013. Yeah, ruble is very low. Let's see, is real currency. I think they probably just use the dollar.
No,
Yeah, they just use the dollar.
well, they have the shekel.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. They use shekel. The jokes just write themselves down.
What did you do?
It's only gone up. Oh, yeah, only going up.
I wouldn't invest in no shekel.
I mean, let's see EU currency.
The
See what the
euro.
euro is doing. See if the
Usually
euro
the
currency is
euro
at right now.
actually floats slightly above the US dollar. Yep, there it is, 1.16. Oh my god.
It used to be worth a lot more.
Yeah,
It's
it
fucking
was.
tanking now.
Yeah, the euro is in rough shape. I don't have much faith in Europe, if I'm being entirely honest. The
Huh,
European
isn't that weird?
economy is boop.
Look at this.
That's during COVID. Oh no,
So,
this is before COVID.
this is 2001.
Yeah.
So September 7, 2001
World
is
Trade.
90 cents on the dollar. And then look at that.
Almost 1.6 is wild.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy over the course of 7 years.
Well, yeah. Well, you gotta
That's
remember
pretty
that
insane.
Europe was kind of shining for a good bit.
Yeah. Wait, El Salvador uses the dollar?
Yeah, them and Argentina have swapped to the dollar as their currency. It's been a slower process for Argentina, but El
I like
Salvador
how it lists
actually,
Bitcoin too.
well, yeah, El Salvador invests all of their money in Bitcoin. Their entire federal
Which is
budget.
kind of like, it's not really good as a transactional currency, but I don't know.
It's about to be.
Yeah,
It's
it's on
about
them.
to be. It's about to be a transactional currency.
It still takes an hour to send shit. Like 10
No,
minutes to an hour to send a Bitcoin.
nah, it's about to be really quick and really cheap.
So what I hear is we're gonna waste a lot of time on a lot of electricity. That's what I hear.
No matter what, the goal of the current U.S. government is to flood the grid with as much electricity as possible.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's China's goal too.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is China's crypto ban. It doesn't really work.
Well, yeah, but it's not the policy comes first, and then the action comes after.
Yeah.
That's how it works. If there's anyone who can figure out how to limit their access to crypto, their people's access to crypto, it's fucking China. Like,
you can remove some avenues, but you can't get rid of the whole thing, I don't think.
I don't know. I
Wonder
don't
what
know about
Canada's
the
currency is
whole
at.
thing. Oh god, it has dropped from being equal to the dollar to 50%. Oh, it's at 73. It's not awful. I mean, it's still awful compared to what it was.
When tariffs got announced, it looks like it went to like 55 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, and it should. I'm surprised at what it's at now because the U.S. just announced another 10 or 20% tariffs on Canada.
What about the Australian dollar?
The Australian dollar is half. Wow. Whew.
Oof, that is rough. That is a rough. That is a
That is
rough fucking
rough.
graph.
Oh my.
It was on the dot for the dollar
It was
in
above at some
2011.
point.
No, it was on. It's on the dot. Yeah, I mean it was above by like a few cents, like 10 cents.
20 cents.
But
Oh
now
no,
it's
10 cents.
pew, at 65 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, truly
That's
rough
pretty rough.
for Australia.
Yeah,
Well,
that
okay,
is pretty
actually,
fucking rough.
it's actually it's not true that having a currency less than a dollar entirely puts you at a disadvantage. As a matter of fact, the reason most of American labor and factory is held in other countries is because their currencies are lower, valued much lower. So you can take the dollar as a corporate owner and split that up to be a lot, worth a lot more. Like if I want to do business in Australia, I can take the dollar and it goes further in that country, right? As a matter of
Yeah,
fact, it almost goes 2 times the amount that it would here in the U.S. if you think about it.
yeah. I think
Oh
I
yeah,
think
the
Japan
yen.
is on. It's on. It's on. Yeah, I think
Whew.
Japan's on the way to its downfall. Doug, you know that they're at the beginning stages of what the EU has been going through. They have a bunch of mosques and Muslims now.
Yeah, I heard. Well, we talked about it last episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, in for context, in Japan, they have stores like you know how we have like Dollar Trees and stuff.
Hmm.
They have something called 100 yen stores, or at least they used to, which is essentially their version of our Dollar Tree, right? The 100 yen store, everything in there is 100 yen, right? You just pay 100 yen, you walk out the door, right? And that was that, and you can see kind of here in 2020, um, a yen was worth about a penny on the dollar, right? So a dollar is 100 yen, ergo 100 yen store. It is now less than a penny on the dollar. So
Yeah.
it's 7/10 of a penny on the dollar.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a whole episode on the Japanese economy. What's crazy is that it looks really bad on paper. Japan's
I
economy
mean,
has
yeah,
always it's looked bad for quite a while. They basically peaked and they plateaued, and you never want your economy to just plateau. And they've had an inflation
yeah,
problem for a really long time. And basically, the only reason Japan is still a powerhouse in terms of uh, 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 economic power is their technology. They just constantly push that envelope as far and as like if there was a country you were going to use for socialism, free healthcare, you should use Japan. Japan genuinely puts their best foot forward when it comes to their people, which is also no surprise that that they cured Down syndrome. Again, they're very aggressive about it, but
yeah.
uh, they
I mean,
they
they care about their people, but they won't get rid of these Muslims in their country either. So it's kind of like you're
we'll
you're you're start you're you're starting down a path that's going to lead you to your own demise.
again, I think first always look at who they're going to vote for. That's kind of what I do first. Is okay. Well, who are they going to vote for? So their current prime minister is doing this. He's been trying to subtly push for immigration from India and the Muslim countries. However,
Yeah,
immediately after that started happening, the right wing party who wants to give power back to the emperor and shit,
yeah,
deportations, very strict, back to like real hardcore Japanese nationalism. So if
yeah,
there's a country I'm not worried about in terms of who they're gonna vote for and what happens after, it'll be fucking Japan.
yeah,
No.
yeah. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I do remember. You got to remember what the Japanese did to the Chinese during the wars.
The
You can't forget about
Koreans,
some of this.
dude, the
Okay, yeah,
Vietnamese, Japan is crazy. I can't.
yeah. Japan is not a country that you would want to fuck around in, right?
Mm-mm.
Like, and however, yeah, I do remember the. I don't know if you know who Johnny Somali is. You probably do, right?
Oh
You've heard of him at
God,
least.
I've heard a bit. Yeah.
I am so surprised. Like in Japan, he was hunted down in the street during the late like the end stages of what he was doing. If you don't know who Johnny Somali is, for context, Johnny Somali was an IRL streamer that was he went to Japan, and in Japan they called him a Meiwaku YouTuber, which means to them it means nuisance streamer, right? or nuisance YouTuber, and that's essentially what he was. He would go around, blast loud music on the public trains. Which, if you don't know, in Japan, you're supposed to be quiet on the trains and sit respectfully. He did not do that. He pulled out a loudspeaker, and people could donate to him on his stream to play different audio clips on his loudspeaker that he had next to him, his Bluetooth speaker. And one of them was, things like nuclear bombs going off, hinting to,
Oh
Hiroshima
my
and
god.
Nagasaki. And then he himself would get drunk and belittle them by shouting Nagasaki and Hiroshima in their
Oh
face.
wow.
And he would also, once again get drunk. He completely destroyed a 7-Eleven in South Korea by throwing like ramen all over the place. Just an overall child, right? Just immature child. And he was actually confronted by the Yakuza. And before he got arrested, and right now he's currently under arrest in South Korea, and he's
Mm.
looking at facing about 35 years
I
in a
think the
South Korean
death
prison currently.
penalty was like even on the table or some shit.
I don't think they'll go with the death
I
penalty
don't think they
because
will
he's a
either, but
foreigner,
yeah.
but he will be getting a lot of jail time for sure. But when he was in Japan, the Yakuza confronted him, and they made him, by threat of violence, bow down in front of them and apologize. Obviously, he wasn't sincere about it, and he used it as more content for his stream, which didn't help things. Um, but he used to have his whole posse that was next to him, and eventually he became so annoying that his entire posse essentially abandoned him because he was a brand risk essentially. Um, but he's an excellent example of what will happen if you fuck with the Japanese too much. He was getting attacked in the street. He was getting called out in the streets. He was having being confronted. He was confronted by Yakuza multiple times, and I don't think that he is going to be getting out of prison anytime soon as a result. But Japan did decide not to put him in prison because I think he was just so annoying they didn't even want him in their prison. I think they would have felt bad for the prisoners if they had to deal with him. So they probably just I think that's the reason that they deported him
Maybe.
because even their prisons are very polite.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah, I've been surprised that he hasn't been put away sooner, for sure.
yeah, and I think in Korea he was like carrying around a dead fish or something, and it just smelled really bad. And he was on a bus, and things just spiraled out of control from there. And then he was playing the North Korean national anthem in South Korea, which is like that's like the worst thing you can do in South Korea is play the North Korean national anthem in the street on a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah,
That is
that's like
that is
I dude,
that is probably the worst thing.
I read a book by Yami Park, a North Korean escapee,
Yeah,
and that shit was so fucking eye opening to me. Dear God, she was also on an episode of Joe Rogan. If you want to check it out, that watching that like
yeah,
really changed. It kind of opened my eyes to what was going on in other countries and just the stark contrast between our country and other countries, especially those third world countries. And
yeah,
anyways, my the biggest takeaway I got from reading it, and she had moved, she was, she's found refuge in South Korea. And she went to school there. And she now lives in America. But
yeah,
one of the main things she talks about is the differences between North Korea and South Korea and how they view each other. And South
yeah,
Korea still views the North Koreans as their. I could almost cry. I could seriously almost cry. They, South Korea still views North Korea as their brothers and sisters and views them as like being held prisoner. And the North Koreans are taught that, and in the same way that um, the Muslim extremists teach their children, that the outside world, especially like South Korea, they believe that the South Koreans are have been taken over by like demons, and that they're gonna come for them, like they're gonna eat them and like destroy their way of life. They think they're taught that they live in like peace, and that's like the best that you could find, and that the South Koreans will
mm,
come and like eat them and destroy them. And the South Koreans, their view, their cultural philosophy is that like those are our brothers and sisters that are like being held captive. And is and
yeah,
one of the things she said that stuck with me is that like in the North Korean language, there's no word for love because it's such an important feeling and word that inspires people to pretty much overcome it usually leads to like overthrowing, bad people.
Yeah.
And so they had to remove the word love because, if you loved your family more than you loved the North Korean, is he called an emperor? I don't know what dictator. I don't know what they call him.
To them, he's their god. He's
God,
pretty much
right?
their demigod.
Yeah, yeah. They're literally taught that he is their god. So they had to remove the word love because they feared that the people might love each other and themselves more than they would love him, and that would be too bad.
Yeah.
And so one of the things she said is that, like, she was asked if you could say one thing to your North Korean brothers and sisters. She said, I would say that I love you all, because they don't have an expression for it. And I thought that
Hmm.
was like so crazy to hear. I was like, damn, bro. That woman's tale is so wild, guys. It is so wild. If you fucking ever have a chance to give it a look or listen to, it's not even that long. On Joe Rogan's podcast, she was on there, and she wrote a book. She's given lots of other interviews and stuff. And dear God, the genuine emotion you get from that woman when she talks about, what she went through in that country and the differences is just like, fuck. It's
I
it's wild.
think I think she is a traitor and should be punished under North Korean law.
Well, the North Koreans agree with you. Her entire village was wiped out, dude. All of them gone. Any family member, extended family member, friend that was in that village, family member of a friend that was every single just fucking gone, dude. She was like, they used to have like networks of spies that could kind of get some information back. Fucking pure silence, gone. Every single one of them off with their head, just completely gone. North Korean emperor would agree with you. Traitor, get her ass.
Yeah.
Her story is wild.
Base. Let them know what happens.
And
If one leaves, the rest gotta go.
if you want to know how bad the UN is, so she was going to
Yeah.
give a speech, at the UN to talk about North Korea and like,
Yeah.
what it's like. The UN stuck her next to the North Koreans. They were like, "No, you're from North Korea. You have to stand next to North Koreans." So before she's allowed to give her speech, the North Koreans were like yelling at her and throwing shit and fucking like letting her have it. And so she's over there freaking the fuck out. I hate the UN so much, dude. I hate everything about them. I swear, I
Yeah.
fucking hate the UN.
They're like they're like an HOA that doesn't actually do anything. They just sit there and they just talk about things.
True.
They don't actually get anything done. They're a bunch of bullshitters. They just want to collect their paycheck, and the prime ministers want to feel like they did something for a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yep. This is evil. This is bad. This is wrong. And we're not gonna do anything about it. See y'all.
Yeah.
Good night. I'm going home collecting my $100,000 a year paycheck.
Yeah, the attorney general comes out and says, "This is a disgrace. This is bad. I urge you to stop this." Okay, where's my paycheck? Where's my $500 million that I earned? U.S. Pony
Yep.
up. U.S.
And
U.S.
pony up. Yeah.
Where's my $500 million?
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
then you got one of the fucking prime ministers sitting down. He's just chilling there. He's like, "Oh, I got to give a statement about how, fucking evil what what's happening in Gaza is." And Israel kind of just comes over like, "Shalom, brother." He just tosses like slides an envelope under the table like, "Oh, thank God, finally." All right. Yeah. Listen, it's not our job to interfere in Israeli affairs. It's their country. They can do what they want. Gaza doesn't exist. It's not a real country. Yada yada yada. All right. I'm going home. Have a good night, everyone. He just takes the envelope, waves, puts it over his head like this. Goodbye.
Dude, how fucked is the lose-lose situation for European countries? Like, let's look at France. At the same time, or the UK. I think the UK is probably the best example. Too easy, low hanging fruit, but it's the best example. At the same time as they have Sharia law and the rampant extremism going on, they also do not
Yeah.
allow for protests against Israel. They're still at the highest level pro-Israel. How, bro? How do you have both of those things going on? What the
Because
fuck?
it's very simple answer. Jewish people, the Jewish elites are paying for these Muslims to enter these white countries and destroy the white populace. It's literally just that simple. It's just that simple. It's an Occam's razor, just totally that simple. So not only can you not criticize Israel, you can't criticize the Muslims either because they're the ones that are going to be replacing you. So you can't criticize either of those two things.
I said we'd move on. I brought it up. My fault. We'll move
Yeah.
on. I don't know how this
Yeah.
next one
It's an
is going to go. It's about the moon. However, I think I know where I'm gonna take it because I know where you're gonna.
Yeah.
I know what you're gonna say, and I know where you're
We
gonna take
never
it.
went to the moon, Doug. I know. I've said
I
it
know,
before.
I know, I know. The U.S. has, I mean, they've had this plan in place for a while. I don't know why they're just now like making it a big deal. I don't know if it's like just now made official, but the U.S. has announced that they're going to rapidly try and put a nuclear reactor on the moon. Now, I have an idea on why they're doing this, but I'm gonna let you speak first because I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead. Nuclear reactor on the moon.
There's no nuke. There
Go
is no
ahead.
nuclear reactor. We have no option or plan to put it on the moon. They're going to use it to siphon more money out of the government and out of taxpayers and the Federal Reserve. That's the only reason. It's just for money. There's no nuclear reactor. Nothing will ever go on the moon. There'll never be any images of it on the moon either. And if there is images of it on the moon, it's AI generated. Sorry.
All right, and now we'll get
There
to
you go.
my stint. You got yours out,
Correct.
and I think this actually proves my my theory when it comes to the moon landing and what we use the moon landing for. Are you ready for this?
Go
The
for it.
nuclear reactor on the moon is at their goal is to actually push as much money as possible into nuclear technology. Why? Because we need nuclear energy to fund our grid because AI blah 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 gonna cost so much energy. All of it's gonna cost so much energy.
Hmm.
We have to move to nuclear energy. They're saying we need to put a thing on the moon in order to push as much tax dollars as possible into nuclear energy. Now I'm gonna compare it to the original space program. I'm not gonna say whether the moon landing is real or not. I don't personally care. What I do know that actual program was for was to push as much money as possible into rocket technology because we were behind Russia when it came to ICBMs, and we needed to push as much money as possible to develop it. So whether or not the moon landing is real, I don't personally care. Most of that money went to the rocket tech. And I think they're doing the same thing again, where it's like, we gotta get a nuclear reactor in the moon. No, whatever, whether or not we're trying to do that, I don't. Again, whatever, debate it amongst yourselves. What I do know is that we really need to push for nuclear technology, and this is their way of funding it. And do you want to know where most of my money is in the portfolio?
Nuclear.
Nuclear energy, buddy. Nuclear. Hey, pump, 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 pump.
You should only be
Boom.
60% happy, Doug, because 40% of your gains belong to the government now.
For now. For now. Also, if you leave it in for a year, it's like near zero. By the way, it's like 20% to zero, or maybe it's 2 years. I don't know, but either way, I plan on leaving it in for a
The
while.
government's gonna get it, Doug.
Government's not gonna get it, dude. They're not gonna get my
They're gonna
money.
get it.
I'm gonna
They
listen.
always get it.
I am a Jew. I have Jew blood.
You are.
I'll find my way around it.
Don't
I
worry,
don't
Doug.
know
I'll
if
be transitioning here soon, or not. I might be going to China. Who knows?
yeah. Either way, you're transitioning in some way, shape, or form.
This is true.
But yeah. So yeah. All right, we're gonna move into some social talk. Social talk. You ready for this one?
Sure, go for it.
Korea has announced that at least 25% of their women from ages 18 to 25 have done some form of sex work or are currently doing sex work. The US puts their numbers between 10 and 15.
Two things. One, the U.S. is lying about their numbers.
I
It's
think
way
so.
higher.
I think so too. I think so too.
Two, this is not news.
It's not so much that I wanted to like say it as news. I really wanted
Oh,
I wanted
oh,
to have a conversation about.
oh, conversation. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I was trying to talk with you. Sorry, my bad.
I don't know. I don't.
Think
Honestly, Doug, women are kind of women are kind of just like, yeah. I mean, they're sucking dick for money. I don't know what to tell you, Doug. What I mean, it's 2025 at this point. Should you want me to clap for them, to give them some sort of applause while they're chowing down on some chicken orangutan? I don't understand.
God, I wish we had a woman on the panel to talk about this one a little more, but uh, I don't know. I get it 100%. It's an easy turn too because there's so much money in it, and
Yeah.
I I'll say what I said to a good friend of mine, or we were having this conversation a while ago, and I was like, I just kind of simply wish that it wasn't an easy option, because it really is and tends to be an easy option. Personally, I don't know that many women who haven't sold a picture of a part of themselves don't just receive money or haven't received money for just simply being there and existing. And I mean, like, you know, some fucking guy saw them working, whatever, and was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, can I get your number? I'll buy things for you. I'll pay for your trip somewhere. I'll pay for your
Yeah.
phone bill. Even just that minimum. That's not sex work technically, but like, you know what they want, and you're getting money for even just existing in their brain. You know, I don't know that many females and women who haven't received money for that. I really don't. If I'm being entirely honest with you, I don't know that many.
I mean, women are privileged. This is not news. But yeah, they're privileged creatures. They can sell parts of their body online. All it costs is their pride and their dignity, and that's it. Yeah, they're willing to trade that for a few extra bucks.
uh, I wasn't. Well, I'm just gonna speak emotionally about it. I don't feel like I do that often. Growing up,
Yeah, okay, go.
growing up, I really liked kind of the classic idea of romance and love. Not the men slapping their wives at the dinner table, but the courtship and the idea of saving yourself for your partner. Maybe not necessarily until marriage, but not being a whore. And I don't mean this just for women. I actually mean guys too.
But
I
for
was
men
like,
too. Yeah,
yeah, I
I
was like,
gotcha.
if women got to go through it, hey, I want to go through it too. And I've mostly stuck to that belief throughout my lifetime. I really have. I don't
Yeah,
think people will
yeah,
ever fully know how much I've stuck to it, but I've done a pretty good job if I'm going to pat myself on the back. And nothing, in my opinion, and the way I feel, nothing makes me more sad when it comes to relationships than knowing that there are very few people, if any, because I don't know that many and I haven't met that many, who still hold to that ideology and philosophy. I really don't know that many. Even some of my most conservative female friends, they still have. I'm not going to say high body counts because I don't know what is considered high anymore, but it's definitely high compared to what I grew up, you know, believing in.
yeah,
It just makes me sad.
yeah.
I don't know what to say more than that. This just makes me sad. But go ahead.
I mean, Doug, and the thing is, Doug, like, um, how do I put this? I was just thinking about what I was going to say too. I think that there's a saying, Doug. There's a saying: wrong is wrong, even if everyone's doing it. Right is right, even if no one is doing it.
Mm.
I think and I'm one of the few people that agree with the statement I'm about to make, or maybe most people agree, but they don't actually practice it. I believe that if everyone else in the world told me that the moon landing was real, I would still say the moon landing is fake.
How did you bring it back to the moon landing?
I'm just using it as like
All
I'm
right.
just
Okay.
using it as an analogy, right? Even if everyone on the planet tried to tell me that the moon landing was real, I would still choose to speak the truth and say, no, the moon landing is fake. We never went there. No human has ever been to the moon, and that is the truth. And I would stick to that truth all the way to the end, right? Regardless of how many people want to be wrong. You can be wrong if you want. I'm going to choose to be right, regardless of how many other people around me are wrong. I'm not influenced by my environment. If I see people around me doing crack, 365 days of the year that I live with them, I'm still not going to do crack no matter how many times you offer it to me. Okay? That's kind of just how I am. I'm not going to drink the Kool Aid. I'm sorry. And the same applies to romantic relationships, right? It's like I I am not going to waste my time with someone if I don't feel like they're worth my time, right? And I'm not going to tell you that you're not worth my time. I'm not going to belittle you about it. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to judge you and say, oh, you have a high body count. I'm just not going to talk to you. And I'm just going to keep walking and moving forward with my day. And I feel like that's what all the intelligent people do. They don't really talk about the sexual immorality of women in this country, in America, or just in general, right? Because it's kind of a worldwide thing, whether you
It
want to
is.
agree with that or
Yeah.
not.
Well, I mean, we just covered it, right? We talked about
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
See,
exactly.
it's
But
even worse. America is known to be conservative in this area, which is
yeah,
wild when you think about it. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
but I think the people that have value in the relationship marketplace are the people that know what they want and they know what they don't want, and they kind of just silently go about their day without really talking about it at all or acknowledging it. And if they happen to find someone that, on the very off chance they happen to find someone that fits those parameters that they're looking for, then great. And if they happen to get along with them, even better, right? And if they happen to stay together for the rest of their life, it's a miracle, right? But at the end of the day, it's like those few people, they're typically men, they understand this. They go through their lives very silently. They don't look left or they look right, they look forward. And that's kind of what the attitude you need to have about that kind of topic.
Yeah, but the sucky part about this is that it still takes two. You know what I mean? Like this isn't something you can
Yeah.
just drive your way forward from. It's not. It's not about emotional independence. It's not about financial independence, which unfortunately this is a thing where you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, no matter what you do, you cannot. I mean, you still shouldn't settle. I'm not implying you should settle, but unfortunately, this will never. This is an emotional problem that'll never go away. You can
Yeah.
cope with it, you can manage it, you can make yourself feel better, but in the end, it'll be never something you can achieve because you can't force everyone else to conform. Not that you should, but
Yeah.
it's I've never been a fan, and I've always felt this way, and it has always made me quite sad to hear about how so many people are very much into hookup culture, even with stats that back up how bad it is for you. Like it's so bad. And again, it's not just I'm not it's not just for women here. I think it's women can be an easy target. I think men kind of were immoral first, if I'm being entirely honest, and women have been like, well, we should have that access too, and they've run away with it. But now we've ended up in a situation. I want. Here's what brought this up. Ready? I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell all of you what happened.
Okay.
I was watching a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is a movie critique channel, and
Yeah.
during the movie critiquing, he broke into a rant, and he said this very ironically. I'm gonna try and quote him word for word. He
Mm.
said he's talking about the birds and the bees, right? And he's making a joke that
Yeah.
parents couldn't explain to their child what birds and the bee was, but he would, and this is how he said it. He said, "Well, what you see, honey, is how a baby's made. Is a woman goes through their early adulthood, having multiple partners and having lots of fun, and then they get their eggs frozen and they do in vitro fertilization into a surrogate, and then they have a baby." And he said this very unironically. He really meant that that's how their lives should be led. And maybe people agree with that. I mean, they must, right? If he's saying that out loud. But for me, he said that, and like I thought it was so abhorrent. I couldn't believe it. I was so disgusted. I clicked off the channel. I unsubscribed. I'll never watch him again for it because I
Yeah.
think pushing that message and like furthering that agenda is the most disgusting thing. I mean, not the most disgusting thing concerning the things we talk about on here, but I thought it was so fucking gross. You know what I mean? Like, this is a channel. It's one of the most watched channels, hundreds of millions of views, and he truly believes that. And there's people gonna watch that. They're gonna believe that too. They probably do. And I don't know. I don't know if there's a word to describe my feeling towards it, but it for me it felt like my inner child, who believed in true romance, and just keeled over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I think the reality is, Doug, is that there is no stopping the dystopia, right? There is no stopping it. And IVF insemination is becoming more popular
Yeah.
because it gives you, well, I guess it technically gives you sexual freedom in a way, right? And then not only that, but it provides an avenue for people that um, just don't want to deal with a relationship or anything at all, and they just want to have a kid for whatever reason. And
It's
is
natural.
it for good intentions, bad intentions? I can't really say, but it's something that's becoming more popular. I know China was having a baby farm over in California where they were using women as breeders against their will. Um, and that finally that got shut down, but God knows how many more of those there are out there, right?
I'm sure that was
And
operational for
it's
quite a
like,
while.
yeah. And the reality of it is that the the novel part of society that existed in a time before the internet is gone. It no longer exists for the most part. Um, you're better off living on a farm, and you'd probably be happier that way, right? But most
Yeah.
people don't live on a farm. Most people don't have the privilege or the experience or the knowledge or the resources or any of those things to kind of achieve that dream for the most part. Um, I think life without the internet is typically a lot better. However, for people that like me that grew up on the internet that are accustomed to it, it's kind of just the default method of living, right? And I think that a lot of this sexual or just general immorality in society, uh, I let it fall off me. I let it wash onto me and then immediately fall right off as I continue to walk. That is the best way I can describe how I feel about society.
Well, I guess my question for you in this particular would be, what is your ideal form of romance, right, in a relationship, and have you given up on it based on the dystopian you see us headed towards?
Um, the ideal romance is isn't romance. The ideal romance is someone who's your best friend and
Mm.
your lover. That's the ideal romance. And obviously your lover can't always be your best friend, right? Sometimes those things aren't always exclusive to one another. Sometimes you want them to feel like your best friend, but you want them to be your lover. That's the ideal kind of relationship that people will strive for, I feel like, even if they don't admit it automatically, right?
Okay, okay.
And I think the reality of it is that nowadays people aren't looking for someone a lover that feels like a friend. They want a friend that feels like a lover. I think that's the best way to describe it nowadays.
Uh, I I would push back a little and just say I feel like they actually want them to be separated. They want lovers and they want friends, and they don't want, maybe they internally do want those things combined, but
Yeah,
outwardly those stories don't, they aren't the same. They want their fantasy lover, which tends to be some crazy shit, and they want
yeah,
their best friend so that they get all the emotional needs. They want their peak sexual needs and they want their peak emotional needs, and typically people would settle in the middle for probably both, or maybe one or the other. But now
yeah,
they want both, and they know that they can get both, and so they do. And
yeah,
again, very severely depressing for me. I think it is, you know, very, very depressing. And I know I had met somebody, I'd kind of forgotten her until you were talking, about uh your ideal, what you just said with the best friend lover thing. And
yeah,
this chick was slightly younger than me. I think she was like 24 or 25 or something.
yeah,
And I'm not gonna reveal her name. If she ever sees this, hopefully she don't even know that I'm talking about her. uh, But she was a
Probably
virgin,
not.
and she was saving herself, and she was just having such a hard time dealing with the fact that very similar to what I was bringing up, where it was like she was living in a world that was just not living up to her ideology, which was the same. I remember she kept saying to me
Yeah.
like, your friend, a real relationship would be a friend who's also a lover, right? Like that's the idea. It's
Yeah.
like my best friend. I want my best friend to be my
Yeah.
lover. That's what I want. And she just kept kind of saying it out loud to herself, and she kept asking like, "That's what a relationship, should be, right, right, right." And
Mm.
I completely agree with that's what it should be. However, a lot of people don't make that the option. What they it's not what they chase. Maybe it is what they want, but it's definitely not what they chase. It's not what I see people chasing. That's
Yeah.
not what I see people chasing at all. I see them mostly chasing fucking sexual thrill. I
Yeah.
rarely see people, dating their best friend. You know, rarely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only think of one person maybe in my 30 years of existence who's dating. I don't even think it's her best friend, but it's pretty close if it's not. I certainly don't know any guys who are
Mm.
dating their best friend. I know plenty who try, and they always
Yeah.
fail. But
Yeah.
yeah, and unless you have anything more to say on the specific part, I have a bonus to add to this conversation.
Mm. Well, I think I don't know, Doug. Like I've been in relationships before, and I'm not gonna say that I'm like an emotionless person, but I am definitely. I'm kind of like I'm someone that definitely doesn't typically veer towards relationships with people. And like keep in mind, like I have, you know, where my job is and what I do, and I'm surrounded. All these things you're talking about, I'm surrounded by all of these
Mm,
types of, people. The sexual immorality. I'm surrounded by it on a daily basis, right? I laugh and I joke with them, right? I chill and I hang out with them. Just strippers, dancers, whores, whatever you want to call it, right? And I get them talking to me, asking me, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you up to?" Yada yada yada. Right? Doesn't phase me at all. It doesn't even come close to my core. And that's just kind of how people have to be in life if you want something, right? You have to you have to be made of steel, really, to get what you want. Because if you're made of gelatin, people are going to take pieces of you along the way. That's kind of how it is. And and that's just kind of how I operate. I don't really it just the sexual culture, the new type of society that's been adapting over the past few decades, it hasn't even really touched me one bit because at the end of the day, it's like, as I forget, I think Socrates or Aristotle once said, "You are both the marble and the sculptor," and I cannot sculpt other people. I can only sculpt myself,
mm.
and that's the best way to think about it. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
worry about other people.
it's not. It's in passing. I'm not gonna kill myself over it.
Yeah, yeah,
And there goes
yeah,
our
yeah,
demon.
yeah.
There goes our demon. There goes our money.
We
But
were so close. We were
we
doing
al-
so well, Doug.
we
That's it. I'm
almost
saying
went the
5 racial
whole
slurs.
episode.
I'm
Can't.
saying 20.
There you
I'm
go. Let at
saying
least
30, 50 racial
we were
slurs.
almost there.
It's over.
Sorry,
We were
guys.
so close. I was trying to keep it professional as much as possible.
I was too. To be honest, I was too.
You couldn't even give me
Oh,
the pity in
I'm
Minecraft,
sorry.
complimentary in
I
Minecraft
couldn't
at the
even.
end of it all. It
I
just
couldn't even follow it up with in Minecraft. Fuck.
whatever, Doug.
Ah,
Just go say what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna.
Say what you're
Fuck.
gonna say.
I don't even. What was I gonna say? Oh, it's not. It's. I don't tend to focus on these emotional things, and I do agree that just let it flow off you. Again, I know a lot of other guys who feel the same way as me. Although I don't think most of them have really stuck to the conservative formula as much as they'd like to, say they did. However, I do
Yeah,
know a lot of guys who, they're pretty tame, all things considered. Some of them are kind of even wild, and even they're just like, these women are too wild for me to settle down with. you know, I'm
yeah,
just like, it's crazy coming from some of these dudes. Um, but I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, it's just in passing. It's that rare moment where sometimes I do pretty well. You know, as a
yeah,
single man, I do pretty well. I'd say probably even
yeah.
better than most. Not to flex, but I'm very
Yeah.
emotionally independent in my opinion. That can be very
Nice.
detrimental to some of my relationships. But in passing, it's something I think about. And these statistics that came up, U.S. probably, like you said, much higher. It's at least 10% are on OnlyFans. Korea at
Yeah.
25%. It's like 1 in 4 women you're going to sit down with, has probably done some form of sex work. It's kind of interesting to think about. And I know the whole liberal movement is not that's not supposed to matter, blah blah blah, but it does matter, and it matters for
Yeah.
tons of reasons. Most of them proven to just be true. We
Yeah.
know that it impacts your relationships, your long term relationships. We know that. That's it's well known. It decreases satisfaction in those marriages and in your future relationships. Uh, and again, I just wanted to bring it up, just to have a little conversation about it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There really is nothing more we can do than to just stick to the belief of being, conservative about it. And
Yeah. The people. Yeah.
even if you have to
The
go your
people
whole
who
life,
change.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The people who change the world the most aren't the people who talk the most or are the loudest. They're the people who are the quietest. I feel like that people forget that a lot. People like to look at guys like Trump or politicians, or people like Andrew Tate, and think of these loud paragons as some form of mental remedy to their situation, some sort of deity that they can rely upon on their times of stress to formulate some sort of cohesive plan for the future. But the reality of it is that it's the people who are alone and completely silent that are the ones that have the greatest understanding of how the world really works.
Yeah, well, we know who pulls those strings. Not hidden.
Exactly.
And again, we're gonna throw even kind of a bonus on this. And I
Yeah.
this just happened. I think it was like today or whatever. But it's so bad that I didn't know who this was. I've heard this name in passing, but Lil Tay, do you know who that is?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I heard about that whole
So I
situation.
don't.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what this young person woman is. I don't know if she's like a rapper. I don't know if she's an influencer. I don't really know anything about her. However, she must be a figure that is popular among the younger people. Now I'm getting so old.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
must exist with that crowd and speak for them a little bit or represent them a little bit. The first thing she did on day one of turning 18, and her story is not solo. It's not the first of its kind. The first thing she did when she turned 18 was start an OnlyFans, and immediately made $1 million. And the story was about the money. That was what the story was about. It went popular for being about the money. Was look at her, she made $1 million on OnlyFans, and that's what the headline was. No doubt, trying to drive more fresh 18-year-olds to join. However, again, I read it and I was just like, whoa, bro, like, why is that? Why? Why is this being read as a positive? Like,
Yeah.
wow, look how much money Lil Tay can make it 18 on day one. It's like, is it a factory for you? Like what are you
Yeah.
manufacturing here? You're manufacturing, and who do we hate? Do we hate the people organizing? Do we hate the people buying it? Do we hate her for selling it? I don't know. Do we hate anybody? Just move on. I don't know, but it's kind of gross. Not a fan. Just not a
The
fucking fan of it.
the reality is, Doug, that with situations like this, obviously we have no control over it. But if you want to remove the power from it, don't give it the attention. That's the best way to remove power from something is with indifference. If you remove the desire to confront it or the presence of any sort of emotion or acknowledgement towards it, it will die. The same way that a pet will die if you do not feed it.
Mm, I don't necessarily entirely. Normally, I do, but I think for some of these situations, you should talk about it. I think the conversation can be the starting point, right? Like if you just completely ignore the
I think with some
situation.
things it is, but I think us spending time talking about some 18-year-old selling her body on OnlyFans. It's like, you think OnlyFans is going to change their policy on that, regardless of who speaks about it?
Uh,
Probably not,
I'm
right?
not trying. I'm just talking. Emotionally speaking, is what I was going for.
Emotionally speaking,
Yes.
emotionally speaking, I think it's sad
Yes. Right.
because I think at one point she may have had he was a kid and wanted to do something, meaningful, and then her parents got her into this lifestyle of, flaunting wealth and luxury for
So
clout.
what was she? What was she famous for? I saw you pulled up her thing.
You're not gonna believe
Age
it. She
of
came to prominent.
10.
Yeah, content depicting her boasting about being wealthy and calling herself the youngest flexer of the century, as well as videos of her rapping. So yeah, this is a parents influenced the child type of situation.
Canadian. Ugh.
Yeah, her parents are more than likely already upper middle class or lower upper class, and that's how she got into that position to begin with. Anyway, she has 6 million followers, Doug. And the funniest part is, I never heard of her
Me neither.
until I saw a random clip of it on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like it's crazy. And if you go to her Instagram, you can see 6 million follow, 5.8 million. Porn star in training is the most recent pinned photo.
I suppose. Listen, I suppose this is nothing new, right? Like this has been a thing in the porn industry for quite a while. I'm not specifically trying
Yeah,
to point that this is new. Hey, I'm not even specifically trying to point out that this is newly immoral.
yeah,
This is the cherry on the conversation from earlier. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this is the epitome of that conversation of what the topic was about.
yeah,
It's not only so bad that people of our generation are running like crazy, it is now kind of the goal for the youngest of people to hit 18, so essentially they can just sell themselves. It's kind of become such a mainstream
mm,
goal. It's crazy.
yeah.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
It is.
So I mean, we're
I
obviously both
think.
a lot older and we've already kind of lived through this and adapted to this culture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, Doug, like, even at a young age, like, I just became kind of like, I don't know, a little bit numb to a lot of what the internet produced because I watch gore and shock videos and
Do you think this is
um
like an internet issue? I feel like hookup culture kind of started before like heavy internet usage was popular. Tinder kind of came out before, and even Facebook dating, I feel like was
yeah.
kind of a thing.
Before the internet, there was there was definitely more of a sense of interpersonal communication that didn't exist because nowadays you can get access to anyone through their phone, just text them, call them, right? And back in the day, that wasn't really a thing. I remember the story of how my father met my mother. Was he went to a gym and she happened to be the clerk at the gym,
Mm.
and that was how he got to know her. Now, unfortunately, my parents are both retards. That is the that is the unfortunate reality of it. So my father was smart, but he was also autistic. My mother was dumb, but she was also like she was really immature when it came to certain things, and so it's like I kind of got stuck dealing with an asshole and an immature teenager for a mother, and that was kind of my childhood. Um, yeah, it didn't really pan out the way you'd expect it to. Shocker, the guy who drank 3 Mountain Dews a day gets cancer, and shocker, the immature teenager doesn't know how to handle the situation at all. It's just kind of like, I was just kind of shoved in the middle of all of it. But I don't like talking about my past. Want to focus more on growth.
Yeah, I don't. It's not something I plan on talking about every episode. Again, it's just something I wanted to do an episode on. I've been waiting to talk about it because I do think it's kind of important to talk about at least once. It's. I'm sure there's a lot
Aspects
of.
of our life. The viewers don't care about our lives, Doug. They would watch a beheading video of us the next day if they could. They would just click on it, then they scroll past. And that was cool, I guess. That's kind of how this internet has turned into.
Listen, I don't always put things on the list of what just I think the viewers want to talk about, but I do feel like
Well,
this feeling and this notion is one of many people, and I don't feel like enough people talk about it,
yeah,
except among the like inner circles. And I think it's nice to say it, verbally out loud to many people across the globe,
yeah,
especially when it affects so many people across the globe. And again, surprisingly, even though the U.S. is like largely an exporter of this content, the U.S. tends to be sexually conservative, which really is kind of weird to think about, considering how bad we think it is here in the U.S. But like, the EU, I love bringing.
all
Listen,
right. Well, actually, Doug, I'm going to disagree with you there. Nancy Mace was just saying she was going to show her tits on the fucking Congress floor, so I think we're going to have to retract that statement from you right there.
listen. I don't.
Okay.
Politicians are their own category.
Really,
Uh,
that's our elected representative, Doug.
do you want to talk about Macron's wife?
Well, Doug, listen, I'm the first person to say shit about France. Don't get me wrong, but
I'm just
at least I can acknowledge our
the
own fault.
the EU has always judged Americans for being sexually conservative. That's like their running thing against it. Is like, oh, the Americans. Why is France so easy to fucking make fun of? Oh, the Americans, they're so prudish. They're prudes. And even in
Yeah,
Asia, which has been typically more conservative than other countries, they if you actually look at the charts of like how their the women have gone like fucking bonkers crazy.
yeah,
But yeah,
it,
it's wild to see that we talk as Americans we talk about it, but like other countries have often looked at America as being extremely conservative and controlling of women in this area, and it's just like, I mean, hey, listen, if we're in the minority and we're culturally wrong, is what it is. I'm with you. I
yeah.
I think that we're right in this thinking, and that both men and
I
women
mean, the
should be
thing is,
figuring out.
the perspective can't be wrong. What's wrong with wanting less a less mutilated relationship with someone, a less interfered
Oh yeah,
relationship with someone else, right?
yeah, sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. And no one that's sexually immoral is going to say, "Oh, well, that's prudish," right?
Oh,
Uh,
they will. They
In
will say that.
reality, that's all they really could say. Should they say anything? But they really can't. They know internally, like in the back of their mind or in the back of their heart, whatever you want to call it, right? That that is the more appropriate way to approach the way we communicate and connect to other people.
It's hard for me to tell. If I'm. It's kind of funny. I consider myself mostly an optimist, but like in this area, I've had more female friends than male friends for most of my life. It's only recently that I've had more male friends than female friends, and in my experience, most of them don't think like that. I'd say they genuinely think that it's totally fine for them to be promiscuous, and that there
Well, the
are no
thing about it,
consequences.
yeah,
And the only consequences that do exist are implemented by men. And even if our generation or the generation before genuinely didn't think that on the inside, that messaging getting
yeah,
passed down, I think eventually becomes the perspective of that generation, the generations that
yeah.
come after. So yeah, tough, tough,
I
tough, tough.
like I don't like there's a saying, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Hmm.
And I think that's very true here. I think time, while it does heal all wounds, it also reveals all scars. And as people move through time, those scars will become more and more apparent. I'm sure little Tay here, who is 18 years old and having the time of her life making $1 million on OnlyFans, is going to eventually hit the point where the money doesn't matter anymore. The men don't want her, and the relationships that she had the opportunity to cultivate, she passed on because she wanted to chase something that was very fleeting, like money or fame. And one day she too will be a 50-year-old woman
Mhm.
who will only be remembered for these very small, innocuous things that she did on the internet 30 years ago. And she
Now
will be uh, dissatisfied with her decisions.
that I very much agree with. I don't know that many
Yeah.
porn stars who come out the end of it ever feeling fulfilled in the end. That
Yeah.
much I very much I agree with. Most of them
Yeah.
will never have a proper relationship
And I think
because of their choices.
yeah, I think the best
These
way
choices.
to really find out how these people feel about it is to see what they say, listen to what they say. Because I've seen it before, where they'll post and they'll talk about how great their sex work is or how happy they are. That's the biggest indicator of how unhappy someone is if they are going online and talking about how happy they are or showing different aspects of their life. Anytime you see someone posting about their life obsessively or talking about how happy they are or talking about how fulfilled they are or feeling the need to congratulate themselves on social media, you're looking at a very unhappy person because people that are truly happy and truly content are not posting those kinds of things on social media to begin with.
I'm willing to take it even further and say that I know a ridiculous amount of women who they're currently in relationships with guys who have no intention of settling down with them, and the women
Yeah,
they have no idea. They don't know this. They beg for the
yeah,
wedding ring, they want it so bad,
yeah,
and they don't know because we're guys, like we know how guys think. If you're gonna marry a chick, you're gonna marry a chick. You probably pop it within 2 years, right? Like that's
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna marry someone, you kind of know, not from the
What's
start
gonna happen?
usually, but yeah, ahead of
You
time.
have a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You know what you're looking for. It's a precision strike. Going in, and most guys
yeah,
know that their guy friends when they see another guy and they've been in a relationship for a long time. They know that
yeah,
that question's probably not going to get answered. And I see so many relationships like this where the woman has no idea that the man detests them, is only with
yeah,
them because of, the sex or because of the way they look or just even the status of being in a relationship or the convenience. And they have no real intention. And the
yeah,
woman has no idea how much the man actually doesn't like them. Their personality doesn't
yeah,
like their personality. I know so many relationships like that. I've seen it so many times where the guy doesn't actually like the woman's personality. It's crazy to say out
yeah,
loud, but it's genuinely like that. And unfortunately, a lot of those relationships are with women like this, where
yeah,
they're this is the choices they make. They're on top of the world because their ego is artificially inflated. They think that they can do
yeah,
this and have a proper relationship at the same time, and they don't realize their relationship is entirely built on a lie, where the man is just lying to them. And you can blame the man, you can blame the woman. I don't particularly care, but I know so many of these relationships that exist, and I see them all the time. And again,
yeah,
the the man has no intention of settling down with that chick at all. I see it all the time, all the time.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think another thing is also that marriage doesn't really benefit men the way it does for women. Women, and I guess it's in some states it's kind of been changing, right? Like
mhm.
custody laws and alimony laws and things like that are changing slowly. But as it stands right now, women are more likely to get custody. They're going to get the house, they're going to get the car, they're going to get child support. They're gonna get the better end of the deal more than likely, um, regardless of what state you're from. Except I think Kentucky passed some laws that give the men some form of rights where they don't have to pay child support under certain circumstances or alimony, and things like that, right? But it's just not a good deal for men. It's just not. There was a scene, and I wanna show it real quick. Let me just type this in. Let me show the yeah.
You don't need to play the audio.
This pretty much, yeah, I think we can play the audio,
Okay.
right?
It kind of depends if this is from a movie or if this is just like
It's
an
a
animated.
clip.
Okay, if it's just a
It's
clip,
a clip from a movie.
go ahead.
Yeah.
And you shoot anything that rings a bell.
Could be an innocent animal, somebody lost.
Our horses are hobbled. Any animal that comes at us is a predator. And any person that approaches a camp in the dark without identifying themselves is a criminal or a savage. I'll probably beat you to the draw, but don't count on me to save you.
You watch how you speak to the law. Sheriff especially. You aren't captain.
No. I'm the most intelligent man here, and I intend to keep us alive.
Well, you're the most intelligent man here. Is that a fact?
It is. Sheriff Hunt has a wife. So does Mr. O'Dwyer. And you're a widower.
Yeah. What has that got to do with anything?
Smart men don't get married.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. So that pretty much summarizes it pretty easily.
I want to add on to it in the sense that I think beyond women kind of, I say women, I don't, this is like non-derogatory, they like fantasize about their wedding, blah, blah, blah. I think that's kind of a dying notion. But I also think that a marriage for them is so important because it is such a sign of wanting from the man that it's like, oh, I trust you, with all of my things. By, completely entering my life, I trust you with my financials, my assets. And that's why they sometimes, again, it's rough when we're both men talking about it, and I kind of wish we had a woman here to express. But my understanding is that's probably why they also want it so bad, because it is like the ultimate form of acceptance and trust. And again, I know so many relationships where the man literally lost that interest, trust, pretty much at the start, whether because of promiscuity, the past, or even just the personality and the way they are. No interest whatsoever, and they spend their time yearning. And what's crazy is that most of those women never even like clicks in their brain until like year 5, right? Where they're just like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's never going to marry me, and then maybe they leave without even not knowing why. They don't even know why.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, like, agree or disagree. Can you tell? Can you tell when a man has zero intention of marrying their partner, when they just seem so done with the relationship they don't even like their partner?
Yeah. It's pretty easy to tell.
I think so too. I see it so often, so often.
I think men look for different things in relationships than women look for. Women are looking for like security, finances, and also physically, like protecting them, right? And they're also looking for someone that's a guy that's reliable. Men don't really require that from women. Men kind of just like a woman that for the most part just makes them feel at home and doesn't cause them too much stress and is attractive looking, and to them at least, right? I feel like that's pretty much summarizes it for the most part. And I think men that do decide to get married in America, at least I can't speak for other countries, but men that do decide to get married in America um, are signing themselves up more than likely for failure. I do think it is a poor decision. It is not the smart decision to make. Now, it may be the decision you feel is right, and you're absolutely entitled to that, but it is objectively not the smart decision, and it objectively also is more likely to end in failure than success. And if it does end in failure, you are going to suffer a lot financially, and if you have kids, possibly emotionally. So I will say that.
I almost want to say that things have kind of flipped. I think that used to be true, but I feel like now women are marrying for fun. The partner that gives them the most amount of thrill, and that men
Yeah.
are marrying for security, not money, not financial security usually, but like uh men are marrying more for probably still the same reason of, making them feel comfortable, for sure. I feel like
Yeah.
men less marry for the thrill and fun, and women are less caring about. But I mean, that's probably true, right? Because it's much easier for them to enter to financially support themselves, and so therefore they no longer need that, and so now they look for the
Yeah.
thrill, the thrill they get from the person, and that's what they look for in marriage. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, we're both guys. We don't have a female here to express thoughts and maybe even elaborate or contemplate with us. But just from my observations, this is what I see, and obviously we know men. We can definitely tell at minimum what the man is thinking, and you know, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell what most people are thinking. It's not difficult, but you have to remember, you have to think about how smart the average person is, and then realize that, or how stupid the average person is, and realize that even half of them are stupider than that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like women. Women aren't dumb, but they're like, there's a bell curve, right? Men are typically on the lower or higher end of the spectrum, so they're typically more likely to be dumber than women or smarter than women, but they're less likely to be in the middle. And people that are in the middle, um, they often go with the status quo, and they kind of don't really think outside the box for the most part, like people on the upper end of the bell curve are going to do. And so women are kind of gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stick to the scripts," and they're not really gonna think outside the script for the most part. And the women that do think outside of the script, um, they actually end up having a happier life, I'd like to say, than the ones that don't.
Yeah, they're
Than the ones that don't.
most of the married women I know, they are very intelligent, very independent, uh, very happy, fulfilled.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily confirming the correlation, but I know
yeah,
that most of the women who when they're in a relationship, the man plans on marrying them, they get married pretty quick. Let's just say that much. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
It's
kind of
we're,
sad.
we're,
This whole, yeah, good.
once again, smart men don't get married. That's all I'll say.
I think super smart men tend to get married and not care about the consequences.
Well, typically,
The
super
where
smart
they
men make so much fucking money it
yeah,
doesn't
exactly,
matter.
yeah, it becomes completely irrelevant. But
Don't forget, the richest woman is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife.
dude, that woman made so much bank. You know what I find so funny? So Jeff Bezos, when he talks about his up and coming, he says that before he
Yeah,
knew he was going to get rich. He knew he had a great idea, and
yeah,
before he really launched it, he wanted to get married first because he didn't want to marry someone who wanted him for his money. To
yeah,
be fair, he did get what, like 30, 40 years of marriage. They were married for quite a while, so it's
yeah. I mean, he essentially dated a cryptocurrency rug pull. That's what he dated. He was dating a cryptocurrency rug pull. He was dating a shitcoin scam for 40 years.
I'm a cutie pie.
Yeah,
All right, for those who don't know, I know you make fun of me. I'm a cutie pie well, he's not so much anymore.
I think he still is kind of.
Most old heads will probably know him. I doubt the newer generations would, but he's a league
Probably
player,
not. No.
and he was very famous. He's a very funny guy for streaming. He played professionally for a little bit. Dude, he was the most chill dude you could possibly ever know. He was so fucking chill, and I mean, he was super down to earth, extremely reasonable. He became very wealthy based on his streaming career, and he had been dating this chick for fuck, man. It had to have been like over 7 years, even before he made his money. This the very first month he married her, she immediately divorced him, took half, and fucking ran, dude. Immediately. And for me, again, that was another kind of nail in the coffin where I was like, bro, I watched this guy who's probably one of the most down to earth, kind dudes, you know. It couldn't have been crazy. Just get fucking rug pulled, you know, in a
Yeah,
relationship. He got fucking rug pulled, and I was like, damn, bro, that's so crazy that she would do him like that. And this guy was so nice. He took some time off, and he came back, and he was like, he really didn't want to talk about it, and I could tell. He basically stated that, like, I don't want to talk about it because of my emotions about the situation, but I'm also not gonna, like, spurt our relationship business out there, and I definitely don't want you guys running her down and hunting her
yeah,
for what happened. Again, even in a
yeah,
situation like that where she was probably playing him for quite a few years, and she probably shattered that poor guy's heart, bro, to complete and utter pieces. He was still so fucking kind about it, dude. He was still so kind about it, and I was just like, man, if that guy can get got, then anybody can get got, dude. He waited. Dude. he waited so long. My guess is because he knew he was a risk, and he's like, if I just wait long enough, that risk drops. That first month he got married, fucking divorced him and took half and ran. Fucking hey, bro, just cannot escape it. It's those horror stories I think affect men more than people realize in general. I think genuinely, I don't think, I'm sure men do, women realize those horror stories really fuck up dudes. I mean, imagine you invest 7 years, sometimes even more, into a person, and all you think about, and women are usually attributed to like, oh, they plan their future with their guys in their head, but I don't just genuinely know if that's true. I feel like women actually do plan their future. I'm just not entirely sure that specific man is in it. I think they just plan their future and they're willing to kind of replace that dude out who they see with them. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm just saying that's kind of what I noticed. And I think guys actually more often, it's them who, when they see their future, it is entirely with that one person. That's so wild to say out loud, but I think that's true from what I know. It's they meet that person and then they plan their future. And so to see this guy and many other guys who, they meet their one and they plan out their future and they know the risk and they wait so long so that they don't get rug pulled, and it fucking happens to them, and you hear it all the time. And I think that's like, that scares a lot of men off from marriage for sure. That definitely does.
Well, not the smart men, because smart men don't get married.
I would say I'm a cutie pie is a pretty smart guy. He's definitely got some above
I mean,
IQ intelligence.
autistically smart. He's pretty good at League, for sure.
He's good at chess.
He's got that micro and macro skill. Yeah. He got good chess skill. But when it comes to understanding,
He waited. He waited a long time, dude. I know you're gonna be like, well, he got married anyway, but he still waited a while.
Men marry for love, women marry for security. She got her security, he didn't get his love. Doesn't seem that smart to me.
It's hard for me to argue with you there. Even smart men make mistakes. I'll say that.
This is true. I'll give him that. I'll give him that he's smart and he made a mistake. That's fair.
Oh man, that shit's rough though. Watching that happen live, I was just like, "Fuck you." That fucking sucks.
She had nothing to do with his stream. Nothing to do with his success.
Nothing,
Didn't help build his wealth at all. Gets to take half of it.
I mean, I'm sure she did homely duties. Nah, I'm sure whatever those are.
What did she do that would be worth hundreds of thousands?
I don't know. I would guess she actually got millions. To be honest,
he was probably already paying for takeout food. He's probably
yeah.
already paying to have her car fixed. He's probably already paying for her to stay.
Look, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because we don't know the full situation. But internally, I agree. I agree with you. She was probably very much pampered. And
I'll give I'm a cutie pie. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, man. He's definitely kind about it.
Hung in there.
And definitely fucking close to as sane as you can get. But
yeah, I think so, dude.
Man, sometimes you got to have some self-respect and you got to look out for yourself, man, because there's jackals that are just going to want to feed off you, and women more so than men, because women get more from the divorce than men do. That's just how it is.
The thing is,
you have to be a lot more selective.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. He should. The crazy part is that he waited 7. I mean, it was a while. They were in a relationship for a while before he got married. He waited a long time, and maybe he just didn't have that eye, but also maybe she's just really good at hiding it. And in the same way that we shouldn't victim blame women, we shouldn't victim blame I'm a cutie pie.
I mean, I disagree with that. I think you should victim blame people. I think and the reason why is because at the end of the day, it's like you are in control of yourself and yourself only. So when you put yourself into a situation that results in you getting hurt, it doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the people around you. So you have an obligation not only to yourself, but to other people around you to make sure that if someone else around you has a knife, that you're wearing chainmail. You know what I mean? And when people see you get stabbed and they say, well, why were you wearing chainmail? The response shouldn't be you're victim blaming. The response should be, you're right. I should have known better. I'll do better next time. That way I don't hurt both you and me. I think that's what needs to happen.
I'm gonna give Cutie the benefit of the doubt, say that he probably did an okay job, probably above average job at vetting. Like I said, he waited a long time, and no matter how much chainmail you wear, sometimes you just get shot in the head. And my man's got
Maybe.
fucking shot. I do agree with you. Responsibility is important.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get got. He got, and I know a lot of people were watching that, and I know a lot of people saw that happen. And again, it's tale as old as time for some men. For men, is watching that fucking dude. I mean, maybe the emphasis is there, but imagine half of everything you put your life towards fucking taken from you, dude, overnight. Fuck, that sucks. That's gotta suck, dude. That has gotta fucking suck. And you're right. You could just never get married. You could just never get married. However,
Correct.
some people, it's part of the romance, part of settling down. It's like
Part
the
of it.
ultimate risk. Can you take that ultimate risk and fucking risk half of your
Absolutely.
entire life?
According to the laws, according to how the laws work, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, even
Like,
if you don't get married, there's a lot of states that have laws that still say they can sue for half.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. When my grandfather got married for the second time, because his first wife died, which was my grandmother, she died of aneurysm.
That sucks, bro.
And
Aneurysms fucking scare me.
well, it's because it happens out of nowhere,
I
right?
know,
It's kind of just like it's just random. But yeah, she died from an aneurysm, and essentially, when he got married to his second wife, he it has to be like around this thick of prenuptial agreements that you have to sign. Like, I'm serious, and
I believe it.
he's an autistic guy. He's super duper fucking smart, and he had this. And in order to get married, this is what he required, was this fucking long sheet of thing. And guess what? She signed it. Why? Because he's got security. He's got security.
Well, I mean, if you're in it
So
for
at
the
the end of
long haul in the first place, and that's why you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the
Yeah,
goal.
but
Ultimately, is meeting someone who's willing to spend the rest of their life, no matter for what reason, right? People get married for different reasons. So
yeah. But typically, men are marrying for love, and women are marrying for security. That's typically what it is.
I don't entirely disagree.
It's really rare. Yeah, it's
disagree.
super rare to find a marriage that is not built around those two concepts. Because think about it, they're and the reason why it's more so love for men and security for women is because men have a lot more to lose in marriage than women do, should it go wrong. So when men take that risk, it's pretty much like
half
you're giving them
your entire life's work, entire life.
And for women, it's the most important thing to happen to them because it ensures their future financially, and just in terms of having a home, if you have kids, child support,
like
it
I
ensures
said,
their future.
I think part of the more interesting development is that it's becoming less about financial security, and for women, it's becoming more about the thrill. It's the thrill that the other person gives them.
I don't think
I don't know what
the
the percentage. I mean, you can agree that at least some of the cases, some of those marriages, at least one,
I mean,
probably is for that reason.
There was a study done like 7 years ago, and it came back with like 50% of marriages end in divorce. So when you get married, you're literally flipping a coin as a man as to whether or not you're going to lose half your stuff.
Yes,
that's statistics wise. Yeah, that's
no, I agree, but also
I can ask Grok too. Yeah.
But my difference to my opposition to that would be that's your average win loss for league games is 50-50.
Yeah.
However, if you're a good player, it's not 50-50, right? So you're correct. Yeah. I do think the average person going in is flipping a coin. However, if you know what you're doing, it's no longer 50-50.
Who initiates 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
Taking the money and running. Highway robbery.
Yeah. Second, marriages tend to have the highest divorce rate, with rates ranging from 60 to 67%.
I will say,
So if you
and
get married for the second
I
time,
know
you're
all these steps. I'm not pushing back crazy upon what you said, but I do think there's a growing change in it. Here's the sad part, right? Where we've been bashing women the whole time. Here's the extremely sad part.
I'm not bashing women. I'm just
Or
saying, how it
we're
is.
bashing the women that take part in these negative statistics. And I want to counter with to going back to the woman the chick I was talking about earlier. And she was just like, I just want to marry my best friend, and saying that I
Yeah.
feel the most bad for those women because a
Yeah.
lot of men have given up. That sucks, and makes them harder to find. And then on top of that, those women also have to sift through the disgusting degenerates, and I always found that to be insane. Like it's much harder now for them. The good.
Well, their intelligence stat gets nerfed, right? But their emotional and persuasive stat gets buffed, right? So their charisma
She's
rolls are going to be
extremely
higher,
smart.
but
She's
their
extremely smart.
intellect, and so it's like you'll know when a guy's just like an absolute gooner versus if he's like a respectable person, right?
But it's
Like I feel like
about
it's easy to tell.
percentages. So like it sucks for them because all of a sudden, if you're a smart, independent woman and you don't have a crazy ego about it, you just want to be in a relationship with somebody who loves you and you love them, and that's like your ultimate plan. Then you have to
Yeah,
sift through the garbage that already existed, which is all the men just looking for a hookup. That's existed for millennia. That sucks. Then you have the
yeah,
men who have such really large egos, which is this has been a new thing where they're not willing to enter a relationship with a woman who makes more money than them, which I found surprisingly common. Really smart men
yeah,
refuse to enter a relationship with a woman who makes more money than them, and then they also refuse to do chores. Even if they work less, just because their egos, so like their complete egos, are too high, too big for it. I've met a lot of women who go through. They're smart, they're financially independent. They're not looking for a man to take care of them financially. They've participated in their own progress throughout life. They're just looking for what we were talking about earlier. What we were talking about men looking for in marriage. They're looking for the same thing, and it's equally hard for them to find it because of how much
yeah.
garbage they have to sift through. And I think they have that bonus problem of the ego because most men don't care, or most women don't care if man makes more money. As a matter of fact, most of them look for it. And so
Yeah, I mean,
those women who want it, I think, have an even harder time. Is what I'm saying. I'm trying to balance out the conversation because we were just shitting on women in general.
I was just saying it how it is. I ain't trying to shit on anyone. Like that's just the reality of it is women are just they have a lot more privileges afforded to them. That's just how it is. I mean, it might be different in other countries, but in America, like you said, I'm a cutie pie. Waited 7 years. She divorced
7
him less than a
years,
month
less
afterwards.
than a
Took
month, dude.
half of all the money he worked for.
Yeah, dude, she got
Half.
him good. Fucking
She
ran
didn't
it.
do anything to help him out. Didn't do anything to help him out. Didn't do anything for his streams. Didn't do anything to help him improve at the game.
Mm-mm.
Took half the money and ran. Now that's according to United States laws. She was legally allowed to do that. That is theft.
Guess who just took that away? Guess which country?
Country?
Country. Yeah, country has made it so that if a woman divorces a man, doesn't get anything. Guess which country? I'll tell you. I'll give you a hint.
China. I'll go China.
It's China. China. I've
Yeah,
been trying to
they're pretty
warn.
smart.
I've been trying to warn people that China's laws, when it comes to trying to increase their fertility rates, meaning getting their people to have more babies, they're going to get
Yeah.
extremely authoritarian in this direction. And listen, the heat that they're going to put on women are going to be some Sharia law type activities in the future. I assure you of that. I can promise you that, dude. And they've already started. And I keep trying to warn people. I'm like, watch what China does. Watch what China does, because it's going to get real interesting. And I'm telling you, that route that they're going, it's gonna get it'll get ugly. We'll talk about it on the show, I'm sure, in about 2-3 years once they start introducing some very interesting laws. I can assure you. But
Yeah.
yeah. Kind of a doomer
I don't know. I'm
episode.
very
Sorry, keep going.
kind of a doomer episode. I mean, Is realism considered doomerish now? Is that how it works?
I just had this conversation with somebody else. I don't consider this realism, and I draw it back to League, where it's like, I got into games where shit sucks. So much trolling, people just suck dick, and you will never find success in those games if you're quote unquote a realist. You won't.
Yeah.
You'll never find success from those things. You can look into this situation and go, well, I'm going to close myself off because statistically speaking, 50% of the doors. But at the same time, you'll never find success. You can't. If you just FF every game, you're not going to find success. It literally, it'll never work. And you can by looking for the optimism and finding the opportunities, that's where you find success. And that's how your win rates fucking skyrocket. Like, you can have this myopic idea of how the world works, but in reality, the world is so much bigger than you think it is. It's like, how many people? It's like 8 billion people on the planet. 50% of women, 25% are within your age range. 20, what does that put the number at? 2 billion? Sorry, I wasn't thinking of the numbers. I think it's 2 billion.
20 that'd be a billion. If you're talking 25.
That literally the number of women, I'm speaking from a man's perspective, there are, because of this sheer amount that are in existence, the possibility of you finding one that actually fits your, ideology, virtues, whatever you're looking for, is actually really high.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but there are so many needles that you could probably reach in and still actually manage to find one. Might be a little harder than finding the hay, but
yeah,
but you can still find them. So I don't like the negative thinking. These things are quote unquote reality, but in truth, there's still 1 billion women, in existence that probably fit your age range. And at even if it's 250 million, I'm just saying the numbers are so astronomically high, and the universe is so infinite, and possibilities so infinite, that if you think your little fucking primate brain can actually quantify it, you're fucking delusional. You are so delusional. It's way more productive to simply seek the positive outcome, and if you do that, you will probably find it because you're trying so hard to seek it. So that's my philosophy, and it's found me a lot of success. So, and I'm hoping it finds me even more success. I'll let you guys know as we document my journey, whether or not it worked.
What is it? What is this? One of those self-help Instagram channels? What are we talking about right now?
Well, we went from absolute doomerland, so I figured, we should probably end with self-help.
Self-help? Yeah. Okay. Listen,
I believe in balance.
Balance. The viewers don't need balance. They need drugs. They're probably watching us high on LSD or DMT or some shit. I doubt they even listen to half the shit we say, Doug.
Okay. What do you think they watch us for? What possible?
Honestly, I don't fucking know. I mean, maybe it's LSD. Maybe they're just high, Doug. I think they're just high.
I don't know either. You think you're just high and you're just like, wow, bro, those two dudes are right, bro. Like, what do you think goes through their heads?
I think there's at least one Russian guy that probably overdosed during this entire stream, to be honest with you. Probably inside of an abandoned apartment, concrete building.
I like the Braden guy. He like my country. Yeah. Come live with me, brother.
Yeah.
We do cocaine and hang out with bears.
And they had cardiac arrest and negative 55 degrees temperatures. Like, that's kind of probably what more likely happens to at least one viewer on our stream every time we go live. Every time we go live, a Russian dies from alcohol poisoning.
I love how many international viewers that we have, and the only thing I'd love more is to know what each of them is like, to be honest with you. It's got to be a bunch of fucking crazies.
I think it's gonna be funny when we see that one person from the UK that watches us, and then they just disappear one day. We already know what happened to them.
True. I can't stop thinking about what you said, where it's like, the people from the UK who watch us are probably the Muslims who are going to target us one day. This shit's so funny
Yeah,
to me
yeah.
because you know it's got to be 50-50. It's either that or it's like some poor desperate bastard who's like, yeah, my country's falling apart. This is awful. It can only be one of those two. There can't be a casual viewer. You know what I mean? So it's either
Yeah.
got to be some fucking angry Sharia law married to a minor bastard who's like, oh, Allahu Akbar, we gotta kill these fuckers, or it's the other. Oh my god, I've got to stand up for my country and start a civil war. You know? Oh,
Yeah.
those images in my brain just cracks me up.
The only way the British can make their situation go slightly better is if they surrender to Sharia law and just become full-on Muslims, beat their wives, and then convince the government to conform to Sharia law and Muslim rule and get rid of all the Jews in the country. That is the only positive outcome that they can have.
I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. All I know is
So,
it doesn't look good right now. I'll tell you that much.
oi, you wanker, get on the ground. We're praying to Allah in the middle of the street. You got your fish and chips.
They
Well,
literally
get
do
rid of them.
that. You're mocking
Yeah.
them, but they do that. They literally start fucking.
Yeah, they do. It's
They
crazy.
start doing that.
Like, oi, do I smell fish and chips? We can't be cooking no fish and chips. It's Ramadan. Get rid of that shit.
Wait until they ban dogs. They've already started. So I don't. This is so funny. It's so ironic. But Muslims, a sect of Muslims, you know, not to fucking piss people off, but a sect of Muslims, specifically, you know, the Sharia law types, think dogs are disgusting. Now that's ironic for a lot of reasons. But if you own a dog, they fucking like avoid the dog as much as possible, and they started implementing no dog zones because of it.
Because dogs can sense evil.
Yeah, that's that why. That's the real reason.
That's why Jews don't like them either.
It's funny how much overlap there is between those. That
Yeah, they're a lot more similar than they want to admit.
I agree.
Maybe they just need to have a Olympic game, Israel versus Palestine, and just see what fucking happens, right?
Just see who wins.
They do the javelin toss and they just toss it into the fucking
Yeah.
the Jewish person's back.
Like during the race, the guy who normally shoots the blanks from the gun just points it at Palestinian and shoots him in the ankle.
Yeah.
Why aren't you running? Why aren't you running,
Yeah.
Goyim?
It'll just good goy. Well, they actually they don't even view the Muslims as goy because goy are still technically like useful. They view them as less than goy. They view them as like the shit on the bottom of your shoe.
Do you know how we last presidency we talked about like, oh geez, you know, the Biden administration, they're gonna come and get us for our anti-LGBTQ plus views and our racism, whatever. It's so funny now because I'm like, oh god, Trump's gonna get us for our anti-Jew views. They're gonna, you know, how many laws that guy signed into law? How many bills he signed
Yeah.
into law protecting the Jews and like
Enough.
a fucking admonishing free speech?
Enough to give me a migraine.
Enough for them to come knock down our door and fucking arrest us on the spot and execute us war crime style. There goes our monetization.
Well, yeah, well, we already lost it. Doug. That's okay, though.
Listen, Trump, if a Jew wanted to sponsor us, a Jew business wanted to sponsor us, we'd probably accept it. We would.
Yeah, literally, we'd be wearing a kippah the next fucking day. We don't care. We don't have any morals when it comes to this type of shit.
Holy fuck. Oh my god.
Like, listen, you want to sponsor the stream? It's very cheap, very, very cheap to sponsor
Very
the stream.
cheap.
We'll put on the kippah. We'll put a Israel flag in the background.
We will.
What's Gaza? We don't know what Gaza is.
Gaza,
It's probably
never
just
heard of it.
Israeli land.
Israeli
Never heard
land
of it.
2.0. It's a part of Israel.
Israel
Has been
Ben Gurion. Yeah, Ben Gurion Canal.
all the way.
Yeah. Hamas kidnapped another hostage or something, and it totally wasn't made with AI. You know how it is.
To be honest, I'm very pro-Jew. I just also like talking about what they're doing and, you know, saying it factually.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny how they'll implement, like Israel will implement all these things that are positive and beneficial for their country, and then America will glaze Israel so hard, but never do any of the policies that Israel does at all.
Kind of started now, minus the removing like foreign political involvement, right?
And the only reason they're starting it now is because they realize that Israel is probably unsustainable in terms of like war, you know. It's just not an ideal spot to be in when you surrounded by countries that hate your guts.
Sure. But
So the,
based on what you said earlier, it's probably quite beneficial to have the people who care so much about their own people come over to our country and
yeah,
then consider us their
yeah.
people, So, all of a
I mean,
sudden,
yeah,
we
we
get
wouldn't be there.
universal
We would
healthcare and
still.
closed borders.
I mean,
Borders.
we would still be goyim to them 100%. We'd still be considered goy, but they would just do do things that are beneficial for them that just so happen to benefit us because they want it to benefit them to begin with.
Well,
Like
I
getting
see
rid of
this as
illegal
an
immigrants.
absolute win. Win-win.
Oh, great, Doug. I'm glad. At
Give
least
me-
someone's happy.
Give me my dude. I listen. Here's again. I'm gonna keep taking it back to League. I can look at the system and I can sit there and bitch about it and be like, why is Garen so strong? Riot, nerf
Garrett's
Garen.
not strong.
I don't know if he's not. I'm just saying. I haven't played in 2 years, bro. Or I can be like,
Neither have
I'm
I.
locking in
Alright.
Garen, Or I can play the Garen counter, or I can ban Garen. Listen, I can only look at the system and see all the ways I can use it to my benefit. That is all you can do in life. If you just want to sit around and bitch and moan and beg the government to change, you're a loser, in my opinion. Sorry, it'll never change the way you want it to. You'll never get anywhere by
I know it's not.
being the squeaky
I'm
wheel.
still gonna bitch and complain about it.
I know. Well, it's kind of the purpose of the show, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So, my philosophy is it can only be positives. There are always positives with the system. They're very blatantly obvious, and not that many people are abusing it. That's why I had such a high win rate in League, dude. I'm going to do it again here.
Yeah, abusing Jaina. Yeah,
I played Janna for like
and
1
Nami.
year out of my fucking 14-year gaming life.
God, we really played that game for a long fucking time, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean it was more like 10 years, but yeah.
We
Still a
played
long
that
time.
shit for a
whole
long.
decade.
Think about
Yeah, I know.
think about how
A
thousands
third,
and thousands of hours.
a third of my life. That's what hit me,
Is
by the
just
way,
League.
on the decade. The second I hit a decade, I was like, I spent a decade doing this. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
I am not going to do this for the rest of my life. And I got out at a good time, but yeah, I was like, fuck that, dude. A decade is a long time.
Doug, even if I got paid to stream it, I still don't think I'd play it anymore.
I don't think I would anymore either.
Yeah, like it's in the past, like, and I think the younger generation's gonna realize that too at some point.
Oh, that game is dead as fuck.
Like,
League is dead as fuck.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you go
I
into.
mean, it's not so dead, but it's pretty dead. In America,
It's
dead.
still like the most streamed game.
Yes.
Or the most watched, I should say, the most watched.
Yes.
But
I think a lot of that is
that
international viewership.
possibly. I will say their average channels have gone down. Their peak channels have gone down, and their stream time has gone down by about 4% currently for the past 7 days. If you look at the past year, it's gone down by 26.8% stream time hours, 13% watch time hours. Counter-Strike has gone up by 18% watch time hours by comparison.
I love that Counter-Strike has remained as popular as it's been for so long. God bless the EU carrying that viewership.
Their peak viewers is actually, I think, the most out of it. Oh, no, Battlefield 6 got the most, 856,000.
That just came out, so.
Yeah, but that's something else.
Well, I think the reason for that is normally a new competitive game would come out and people would flock to it like crazy. But after League, so many competitive games were released back to back that it kind of started to just split the viewership between the new competitors and just directly pull from League. So while League declines, you have like 3 others kind of slowly gaining, and that has led to this chart where you see League again at the top but slowly declining, and you see a bunch of other games kind of slowly climbing up.
You want to see like the biggest downfall in gaming though?
Yeah, what is it?
And it's not even on the top 50. It's Path of Exile 2.
Really?
Yeah, Path of Exile 2. Right now, we'll be generous. We'll do the past 30 days. Their average viewers rank is 362.
Wow.
And if you look
their
for the
average
past 360,
Their average
they're
viewers is only 357.
and if you look at their 360 for the past year for Path of Exile 2, their average viewer rank is 25. So they dropped. They went all the way down from like being the 25th most viewed game for the past 7 days. They're now at
Wow.
405th.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so
If
that's
you wanna cover some streamer drama, we can. You got anything for us?
let me
If
double
not, that's
check.
okay. We've done a decent amount of
No,
time.
no. I'll check.
Okay, my bad. I know you love your drama. And there's
I
only
don't.
the second thing you love to denying the moon landing and hating on Jews. It is your
I don't. I don't. I'm not denying the moon landing. I'm telling you it didn't happen.
well, that's the same thing.
Uh,
It looks
I
like
guess Meek Canyon made a video on Pirate Software.
We'll get copyrighted watching his thing without
Really?
stopping.
Oh.
His is heavily copyrighted, and it's not a flame against him. It's just he makes very unique content. So
Yeah. So I guess we can't show that then. There's not really a whole lot going on. Oh, I heard that's Ludwig's girlfriend's. Let me see if I can
Cinderella, Cutie Cinderella, whatever her name is.
Cutie Cinderella.
I can't tell if that chick is sub 80 IQ or if she's just pretending.
Let me see if I can find it. No. I guess I can't remember exactly what happened. Let me see my history. Cutie.
Ludwig is one of the top streamers on Twitch. Very famous dude, and his girlfriend, or maybe wife, I can't remember. Cutie Cinderella, not nearly as famous. Not even close.
Yeah, let's see. Relevance.
Dude, imagine you're fucking Ludwig and you go onto the Reddit or whatever and you see, here's a compilation.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Cutie Cinderella pressured streamers to leave sabotage Amaranth's event because Amaranth used the same production company as her.
Okay, so she is smart and not an idiot. She just pretends to be dumb.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, so this is her husband talking about it. Amaranth's husband Nick alleges Cutie Cinderella got a lot of streamers, including XQC, to drop out of their Streamer Royale event because they wouldn't drop the production company. The production company had also worked on Cutie's Streamer Awards, which Nick claims was her point of contention. I got a lot of stories in 2022, hired a production company a week before event happens. Cutie calls and says, I'd like you to stop using it. It's not like she owns the company. She got mad, got a lot of people to drop out.
Cutie's a bitch too. Even more so. I had far more negative thoughts about Cutie than I had about Ludwig, and I think that's still true after the Mango thing.
Okay, and to give you some context on this guy, this is Amaranth's husband. All he cares about is money. All Amaranth cares about is money.
Money, yeah.
And this,
we covered
this guy, yeah, and this guy's pretty much just a snake.
Like, I got stories about Cutie, and I've never even met the person, just from seeing messages come in from her and from Kate working with her. I got a lot of stories that span like 2-3 years. Watch out, Dagon.
Yeah, so essentially he's saying he's got a lot of dirt on Cutie Cinderella, which he probably doesn't have that much dirt. And even if he does have dirt, it's probably dirt everyone else already has anyway. They just don't talk about it. So yeah, pretty much that's not a whole lot of other streamer drama going on. I could type in streamer drama and see what pops up on Google. Twitch drama.
No, it's okay. Again, we've been going for 3 hours. That's definitely good enough.
Yeah.
So
okay.
And we've done a lot of Doomer content.
We did do a lot of Doomer content.
Again, I'm not nearly as pessimistic about these things. I think we're all headed, in general, the world's been headed in a good direction. A lot of these things, I think, spur competition, and it's something the U.S. has been lacking for quite a while.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it'll kick the U.S. into high gear, which I'm hoping for.
Maybe.
But
I can only hope.
Again, we can go back and forth until whatever happens, happens, and we shall see what happens. So, yeah. Cheers to our viewers. I just love the growth of the channel. I think it's fantastic. And the thing that I love the most is that we have so many international viewers. I think that's so fantastic. Not something I thought was ever going to happen. So we will continue covering global news. And
Yeah.
this one's a little more of a social, society episode, which I fuck with. I like having this. But goodbye, everybody. Braden.
Indeed.